Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Asylum Podcast. We will be beginning the show a little bit earlier than the countdown timer. So, welcome to episode 49. This evening with me, we have Buck, we have Noodle, and we have Snake Eater, who I'm going to bring in any second now. So, hopefully, everything works out beautifully.
Thank you.
Welcome, guys.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
We're starting a little bit earlier.
I was going to say, there's 5 minutes to go.
Yes, we're starting 5 minutes early because we're a little bit behind. So I thought, well,
Never
the video. To be fair, that and the video finished. So I was like, sod it, let's go. Let's go. Hopefully, this one won't give us a copyright claim in YouTube either, because that's the other issue.
How did that end last week?
I think we kind of just gave up in the end. So what happens is I choose videos from the StarCitizen community. I put them up at the beginning of the show. Sometimes they use music that is copyrighted, you know, and then obviously we then get a copyright claim every time I post it. But the thing is I trim it every time, but YouTube takes forever to fix its trimming. And so what happens is I then get that claim, and then for some reason we have this claim stuck at like 9 minutes and 10, but there's just people talking. There's no music there. Somebody said that there might be music in the background. I'm like, no, it's because literally 10 minutes previously, before the trimming, there was obviously music at the intro, but whatever. It's just one of those things. But anyway, welcome to 49. It's nice to be back. I have a cold, as you can hear from my nasally voice. So,
You sound very sexy. I love it. You should
Thank
do it more.
you. No, I shouldn't. It's been hell. This weekend, my wife has been super ill. It's just not good. So it's been a tough weekend, especially when you're sick, looking after both of your parents, looking after 2 kids. It's not fun. So yeah, that was my weekend. How about you guys? How's it been the last week? What have you been up to? Actually, first of all, let's just quickly go around what you guys do in the community. So we have Snake Eater. You are a partnered streamer. You play, and you lead on.
Play StarCitizen mostly. Have been getting into the YouTube space a little bit as well, with like equipment reviews, and hoping to get some videos out for specific StarCitizen content as well. We get at it every night out there at JT and out in the verse, and do different things like massive amounts of Widow at great risk, get into large, org battles and all kinds of good stuff, force on force type of exercises, and have a good time. So we're out there every night. Yeah,
you've been hitting it pretty hard for a while. I'm surprised you haven't burnt out, to be honest, with all the with the content, because it's very tough to keep doing the same thing. That's why I always surprises me when some people, they can keep it going, but eventually there's like I always think there's a bit of a burnout period with StarCitizen that happens. Usually just comes up to a new patch. So I'm impressed.
Out about the content level. I am worried that the other day I was worried that I'm starting to come off as like intolerant of bugs, though, because I do find myself getting triggered more and more about like little things.
You're not alone.
You're not alone, dude.
Not like huge features. I'm not like, you should put this huge feature, and it's like, can we? Yeah. I mean, half of my life is re-inviting people to my party. That's the life of a content creator in StarCitizen right now. But I still love the game, and I love everything about it. I think, like everybody that plays it on a daily basis, I think some quality of life improvements would be music to my ears. But
yes,
but yeah,
yes, it would be good. Moist Noodle, welcome back on the show. It's been a while since we've had you. How are you doing?
It has been a while.
Tell us a bit about yourself.
I kill people.
You do now. Yes, this is true. You're getting a reputation, Moist. I'm so proud of you.
He slowly changed into a Toby Tish.
It's
all
I don't know,
gentle.
It's I started gentle, and now I've eased in, and I'm just going for it.
Vicious killer.
That's where I am too. It feels the same. It's like you started off as like a doing specific types of operations or thematic things, and you just turn into a pure JT killer.
Sorry, Zenadar just said in chat.
Here, it's like what I intended to
I
be.
just said in chat, Moisel, you killed my brother 3 times today. Sorry.
Yes. Good.
I did. I was
so proud
I was
of
actually
him.
saying before we started the podcast, I had an incredible experience yesterday at Jump Town, where I killed a couple of guys, and then we got chatting because they didn't get salty. They were cool, and if you don't get salty and you're just respectful, then typically I'll be cool with you. They invited me to party, and it turns out one of the guys was in my class in school, and I haven't seen him since I was 10 years old.
That's
Like,
insane.
Just so
That's
completely
insane.
random.
That is small world, man. That is crazy.
Very small world.
That is crazy. Have you brought him on board? Is he going to become under your wing now? Are you going to train him up, teach him the ways
Yeah,
of the
they've
dark
invited
side?
me to their Discord server. They clearly don't know
Nice.
who I am yet, but I will ease them in gently.
Fantastic.
I had a great day today actually, because Zenadar was actually on the server, and I think there were like 10 people just coming at me non-stop outside Grim Hex, and it was the most fun I've actually had in a little while, and I've been having a lot of fun at Jump Zone as well. So, yeah.
Awesome stuff. And we can catch you obviously in Moist Noodle everywhere, like Twitter, Twitch, and all the rest of it.
Yeah, pretty much. I stream every day on Twitch from 5:30 p.m. GMT. So yeah.
Brilliant. And we have returning to us from skiing trip, unbroken, no ribs, no nothing busted.
Not unbroken. My body is unbroken, but my car broke down on the
Your
way
car?
to Austria. Yes.
Oh no.
So that's why I want to forget my my skiing trip.
Oh
No,
really?
It's kind of horrible. Yeah, we just drove by Frankfurt in Germany, and all of a sudden I was driving on cruise control all the time, and I pushed on my clutch, and the pedal that stayed on the floor didn't came back up, so I couldn't shift anymore, and I had to put the car down next to the what do you call it, the safety lane. And then it's a company
Shit.
car, so I could call the emergency service, which is available 24/7, which they aren't. And
Funny that.
the line broke up each and every time, and couldn't get a reach of them. So I had to call the Dutch, the highway, what do you call it? The service guys, and
Okay.
they arranged that I got picked up with all my friends and the car, and put down on an industry terrain in front of a car dealer, and we had to spend the night there because that car dealer wasn't open at that time.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
No
So a
way.
9.5 hour trip usually ended up in 18 to 19 hours until I arrived in Austria. All my friends who were already there were drunk, and I was sober and pissed off. And so yeah, that was the start of a wonderful, wonderful holiday.
Oh god damn, that
That was
sounds.
the beginning of it or the end of it?
Oh, that was the beginning.
Oh
Oh,
my
boy.
goodness. Did it go uphill though, effectively, rather than I mean, I don't know,
Well,
or
it
downhill?
couldn't get repaired because the German guy at the garage said, "You didn't get the memo." I said, "Which memo?" There's a callback thing going on for your car. It's a known issue. I've got 2 or 3 other cars standing here already with the same issue, and yeah, it takes 1 to 2 weeks because the car parts, need to come over from England. And I'm like, it's a fucking German car. Why? Why do the car parts need to come over from England? And he said, yeah, I don't know. It's the way it is, and yeah, I can't give you anything. So I had to get in contact with the lease company, and they had to get me a rental car. I had to go there by cab, get back to my old car, put all the stuff over from one car to the other, and it was so annoying.
But you managed. I saw some pictures. You got a beer at the end of it. You got some skis. You got some. You got to cruise the slopes, which is the most important thing at the end of the day.
Most
Eventually,
important thing, this podcast needs more cowbell. So we got it.
we got the cowbell. Nice.
Yeah. Besides the skiing, you know, I've got some eyesight issues, and I was afraid that it got worse during the skiing, because I'm really sensitive to light, and under certain light conditions I can't see shit, even worse than normal people do. but yeah, that was basically the end of my skiing career.
Oh, what?
I'm struggling with that for the last couple of, well, let's say 5-6 years, and yeah,
No,
I
man.
put in it. So.
Oh, sorry to hear that, but I know how difficult it is, because like I've done it once before where the sky's been clear, beautiful for snowboarding, and then I've gone up the next day and the sun, and then it's been slightly off, and the light hits, and it's just like you're basically blinded. It's like white everywhere. You can see
just
nothing.
Wide out.
Yeah, total
You
white
can't
out.
see the bumps and the hills and whatever. And
It's horrible.
I start to freeze up, and when I come into a sunny area again, it's all good. It's like a tomba la bomba from Italy, which is going down. I don't get it.
No, I feel you. I don't know if there's like glasses. I mean, we turn this into a skiing and snowboarding podcast if you wanted to, but
sorry.
you know, it's I could go on about the glasses and stuff, because it's freaking. I love snowboarding. I haven't been meaning to that for years. Yeah, doesn't help you at all. That's a shit. That's a shame.
No. That's why I've been testing the last couple of 6 years. So.
And we can catch you, Buck. We can catch you everywhere on Buck Bertie, or you got different handle?
Well, yeah, no. Only my Twitter is different. It's the Bokbiertje2.
Oh, okay.
Only the 2 is different.
Only
The
two.
rest on Twitch, it's Bokbiertje. And yeah, don't put yourself off by the ch at the end. It's Bokbeer.
You haven't locked up box.com yet?
Sorry?
You haven't locked up box.com yet?
No.
Locked it down. Lock that shit down.
It's-
I was very
Usually
disappointed.
I stream StarCitizen, but I'm having a little bit of a burnout of StarCitizen. Just discussed.
No, we just
And
discussed.
there is
Yes.
not a second game yet, which I can play.
Well,
So that-
Apex Legends is
I
kind of the
have
hot
that.
thing at the moment. No, that's
I
the
know.
hot. That's the hot. By the way, anyone coming into the podcast now, if you're new to the show, this is the kind of, we do a little bit of chit chat at the beginning, introduce everybody. We talk about what people have been up to. We talk about the games. We just have a general kind of warm up, and then we kind of go into StarCitizen, real heavy content, because there is a heavy content on the roadmap to go over, but we just like to kind of warm it up with a nice chit chat and talk about other games and what people are up to, keep it flowing. So yeah, Apex Legends is kind of like, I'm a big fan. I mean, the guys who did it, they did one of my favorite FPS games of all time, which is Modern Warfare. They did obviously Titanfall. Obviously before they were Infinity Ward, then they got sued, the big sue with Activision because they weren't getting paid. So then they split, and a load of the guys from that team, Infinity Ward, went off and started Respawn Entertainment. And then obviously they then created Titanfall and other games. They're the masters. When you compare AAA, like I was talking to, I think it was Snake I was chatting to or whatever, but we're just because you were streaming it. When you compare this, the what a AAA FPS game is versus Star Citizen, Star Marine, there's a difference. The gulf is pretty substantial when you just put the two together, and you just feel the way things move, the gun animations, the gun movement, everything. It just, there is a big difference in the way they do it. Also, the guys who started it are quoted as saying exactly the opposite of Chris Roberts. For them, fun is the priority over fidelity. Chris Roberts is fidelity over fun, it seems. So it's really interesting to see the two kind of like the creators' variation on stuff. So it's really interesting.
I don't know if he's ever actually said fidelity over fun. I think it's okay. When has he said it, Madness?
I'll dig it out for you later and I'll send it to you.
And on the YouTube video, post it on the top comment and pin it.
I will. I'll find it for you. No problem. I'm almost pretty certain. I'm pretty like 80-90% certain that he said like fidelity, like priority, fidelity. So yeah. Anyway, I'll find that out for you for sure.
Thank you.
And I will correct myself on YouTube. On YouTube, you will see me apologize. Eat humble pie. But there's a big difference. I don't know if anyone here. I know Snake's played it. Moist, have you played Apex Legends?
I have played it. I've never played a battle royale before in my life, and it was an incredible experience. The first 30 minutes, I played it with the Dark Claw, actually, another great Star Citizen streamer. He really knows how to rock a 600i if you don't follow him. But yeah, going in, instantly dying.
Yeah.
Going back to menu, going in, instantly dying.
Yeah.
And then we had the last game that I played. I think we lasted like 20 minutes, and then I was like, I'm done with this shit.
Yeah. You know what? You raised it up a good point.
And that sounds exactly like my experience. all night last night.
I'm bored of them. I'm so bored of that constant going into loading screens. I know people talk about it. I want Battle Royale mode and I want Team Deathmatch mode in these games. I want two choices. I want to be able to go. I'm tired now of having to go to loading screens all the time. I'm not good enough. I need to warm up. So I feel like I need to go into Team Deathmatch mode, play loads of respawning, get my shit in gear, get everything loaded up, get myself where I feel like I'm like a bit like going into Arena Commander and then going into the PU, you know, like get myself warmed up,
Right.
I think
and then go and play.
I was done with games like that with Overwatch, really. And when I say games like that, I mean where you don't really achieve much. I suppose if you play it competitively, your EPing grows, and that's something to show the ladies. But you know, if I'm playing an arena type game, I want to feel like I'm achieving. And you know, I like War Thunder. I like games like World of Tanks, World of Warships, etc., etc. And it does feel like you're achieving because you're unlocking new ships and tanks and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. It's just not. I'm not saying it's a bad game, just not for me.
Battle Royales are really tough for me because, you know, I may be a competitive person. That's a private choice. And when you get, you know, into an environment that the whole point, people are like, just have fun with it, just have fun with it. It's like, no, this is the survival of the fittest. It's the of the genre of game. I want to kill everybody else and be the one standing at the end. It's a challenge for me. So that's like my sort of zen work with VR games. It happened with Fortnite, and it's the same with Apex. I do my best not to tilt on it, but it's hard, man. It's really hard. And with that game, Apex is perhaps the apex of like twitchy flick shooters, you know what I mean? It's like super fast paced, super small targets.
I'm
super,
too old.
You know, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I hate to think that.
I'm too old.
But I mean, it's hard to hit my shots, and I get melted instantly every time I get into an engagement. I'm just like, I don't know what to do, man. So I want to enjoy it because there are a lot of aspects. Like if I look at it from a game designer standpoint, from a mechanical standpoint, there's a lot to like about it. But that being said, somebody can only get kicked in the teeth sometimes before it's like, okay, I need a break, dude.
Yeah. Problem is, if you got a good round, it's actually very enjoyable. It's so intense. But
that's the nature of battle royale. Is the feeling of victory is real. You know, it's palpable.
But if you get shot in like the first 5 minutes, then you end up with the loading screen, just like Madness says, and then
I've seen it happen so many times. It's just a loading screen simulator for most people. There's a few people, and the problem is you're always going to have the one or two guys who are really, really good, or one or two groups that are really good, and they tend to always rise to the top, like the cream always rises to the top, you know. And you always have to deal with them, and you might get lucky. You know, lucky is the word to describe it. You might get lucky and you get to top 5. You know, maybe you might get to second place and you're like, oh, we're so close. But no, I think I'm getting old. I think that was Starburger. You're absolutely right. I think I'm getting old. I'm not really feeling the need to just, you know, that grind on it. But I just, like I said, I don't know what's happened to the team deathmatch. Like it was the kind of the meta was the team deathmatch, and it seems to have stopped.
Madness, you might be interested. After rage quitting Apex last night, I was driven into the arms of a game I wanted to try for a while, which is Sandstorm Insurgency, and it is very, you know, it's built around this you know, Afghanistan type of a scenario. But it's sort of like the game you're talking about. You don't respawn instantly, but your team gets respawns when they get to the next checkpoint, which is typically does happen. So you just get a small break and then you get respawned. But it's pretty intense, and it's only like $25 or $30 on Steam. It wasn't bad. It's not super realistic. It's still, you know, somewhat arcadey. But
I had a really lengthy conversation with Wikipedia last night, and he introduced me into a game that Chris Roberts introduced him to, which is Trans-Siberian Railway Simulator. And Mother of God, no joke, if you have not seen it, it looks absolutely incredible. It's pretty much what it sounds like. You're a Russian train driver, but you have to survive the journey. There are wolves. There are fallen trees. There are bad guys. It's incredible.
How old is this game? Is it new? Or
Oh, it's not out yet. It's not
It's not out yet.
Not even
Early access.
Trans-Siberian
Early access.
Train.
looks really good.
Oh,
And you can get
wow.
drunk while driving.
That sounds quite good. That sounds pretty interesting. What's it called? If someone wants to link it in chat, they've got to find it. Find it and link it in chat. You can do.
I'll pop the name in chat.
Everyone can then check it out and stuff. But okay, cool. That's a little roundup, I guess, of kind of the gaming. To be honest, at the moment, like Steam, we were discussing this the other day. Like Steam, like I've gone on Steam multiple times recently, and I'm just like, they're in trouble, guys. Like Steam is just if they don't change their Epic's coming along. If they don't figure out some stuff soon and start paying people more money, they're we've got Origins now, got game. Everyone's doing their own gaming platforms. Like I've said before, I think StarCitizen will do its own gaming platform. I don't, and we'll start releasing more games or more things eventually at some point. It seems to be the thing to do now, and Steam is, I've got nothing to buy.
Try the Division 2?
I haven't tried it. I played Division 1. Yeah. I'm done.
I am super curious to hear your opinions of it.
I haven't played it much because I didn't want to spoil too much, because I pre-ordered it and waiting for the final game. It felt good. I haven't seen any new stuff, but I was pretty happy with version 1. So version 2, it's
I don't know.
Hopefully getting better, even better.
Yeah, I guess I just got the exact same impression of it that I did Division 1, which is visually super cool. Storyline, like the premise, I miss that too, to be honest. But the premise is a really cool story premise, but the game in general just doesn't blow my hair back. I don't know if it's because the cover system is just a little too clunky, or if it's like the gunplay is just not quite satisfying enough, or something like that. But there's something about it that it misses again for me.
Yeah, like I don't think I'm gonna get it, and I was super excited for it, but purely because anybody that knows me or follows my stream knows how I feel about Ubisoft, and they love Control-C, Control-V when it comes to computer games. And it genuinely does feel like they waited until the Division 1 was in a good place and then copied it and made a new map, essentially. And don't get me wrong, the map is awesome, but personally, I kind of like the snowy New York game.
Everybody has that.
and secondly, once you're actually playing the game and you're focusing on not getting shot and taking cover and aiming and shooting, you're not really paying attention to the map around you. So it's really about the gameplay, and the gameplay hasn't changed at all. And I just don't know if I kind of really think again.
Yeah, I think it comes down to they also, a lot of games start to they're struggling making me feel like I'm doing something important, because the antagonists are all these faceless, horde rushing idiots, and it's like, okay, but like, it doesn't. I think that's one of the reasons why I always compare things to Escape from Tarkov, because it's my side piece from Star Citizen right now. But it's got RPG elements to it. You're leveling your character up, you're trying to get better gear. All those things exist in that game, but the bad guys are a little more like, there's obviously some AI in there, but there's AI personalities, and if you run up against an AI personality, they're hard enough for you to be like, oh shit, this is a real deal. We have to get ready to deal with this guy, or we have to run away. And then, to say nothing of players that you can encounter, which are also, you have to either get ready to rock and roll or try to avoid them, otherwise it's your ass. That type of thing doesn't seem to. I don't feel like that in the Division. I don't feel like anything I run into is a noteworthy character in the story. And I know they're trying to do that. Okay, I understand. I know that there are quote unquote like personalities in there, but yeah, I don't know.
They kind of said as well that the bullet sponginess is gone, which, you know, they've kind of replaced it with armor, but I still see the bullet sponginess, because at the end of the day, if you can run up to somebody and shoot them like 5 times in the face and they're not dead, then to me that's bullet sponge, you know.
Yeah, I mean, for me, when I saw it, I just was like, I've done it. I got the t-shirt. I played it for quite a few. You know, there's not enough newness for me. It just looks like a kind of a DLC add-on to the previous one, and that's fine if that's what you want. But for me personally, if I have to spend $40, whatever it is, I'm going to choose the Anthem, because the Anthem, you know, Anthem is it's new. I mean, I know it's not for everyone's cup of tea, but in terms of, like, I get that, you know, third-person view. I've got team play. I've got vertical movement. I've got sci-fi. I've got, you know, a whole different kind of set of baddies and a whole new experience to enjoy. So for me, it's like, what am I going to pay? I'm going to pay $40 and have pretty much the same experience I had in Division 1 with just a few new extras and improvements, or I can play a whole brand new game that looks like it's a lot of fun with insanely cool customization and Titan suits. I'm going for Anthem.
Anthem, because the Ranger is one of the characters I liked a lot in Anthem when I tried it, and I actually commented that the gunplay part of it was pretty satisfying, and it's not it's just tuned differently. I'm not sure exactly what it is, because of course there's peon, you know, AI that you can single tap, and then there's harder AI that you have to work on for a while, and you could call that bullet spongy, but the gunplay feels better in Anthem, and if you're looking for beautiful environments, then Anthem has that for you as well. I don't like that it's just like Destiny in that you just keep on reloading into the same areas to do the same quest over and over again until you're a higher level. But
I'm not a fan of that either too much.
You know, gunplay feels good, and in Division, I don't know why it's just it's a weird situation they've got where they're having a hard time dialing that in.
Yeah,
it just doesn't land.
I think you were talking about like memorable bosses. I remember the thing that I noticed with Anthem the most was I met, like, you know, I went through the story and I met a boss. Like, I met a boss and I couldn't kill him. It was like I tried and I just couldn't kill him. I needed people to help me to kill him. And so I put a call out for some people to come and help me. But it was that, for me, felt incredibly that was super like, to be at a point where I go, I can't do this without people. I can't do this without support. And that was like a big thing, you know, something like in Destiny and stuff. Most of the time, other than the raids, you can kind of kill everything on your own. The raids you can. And so for me, it was fresh. It was really fresh. Whereas the Division, like, it just doesn't feel like that still. I feel like I can still do most of it if I really wanted to solo. So, yeah. Anyway, right, StarCitizen. So that was our
StarCitizen.
Let's talk about StarCitizen. I mean, all that stuff's relevant in a way to StarCitizen, because at the end of the day, we're talking about finished games. StarCitizen's not finished. Improvements for StarCitizen are always good. We have the latest roadmap. Oh, holy shit! Wow. Okay, so I'm just going to go around and just give us your first kind of reactions to the roadmap update with the Sqaudron42, and the just give me your picks, your highlight points, and then we'll just kind of go through that and talk about it. I have a few highlight points if people don't mention it, but if there's anything that I can start us off basically, and then we can kind of get rolling, because there's quite a lot on the roadmap, and I've done a shit ton of work on it. So I would say my first kind of, I've only done it from 3.6, the 3.4 and the 3.5 I have kind of ignored effectively. I've just gone for the new stuff, so like 3.6, 3.7 kind of stuff. So for me, the first thing was the black market economy. The security forces and ships will be able to identify stolen or illicit goods. And that kind of got me really interested, because I was like, how are they going to, like, when I steal Moist's ship, for example, we'll get on board Moist's ship and steal his ship, because clearly he's a noob and he'll leave the door open like a proper noodle. But let's just say hypothetically Moist does that. Not that he does it, but if he did it, you know, like, we're now going to have NPCs floating, like, will then engage you and attack you. You'll be able to scan your ship, is what I kind of imagine. That's how it's going to be.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling like Port Olisar, using Port Olisar as an example, they might actually have security at Port Olisar, which is what I really like. Obviously, we saw lore and reputation get shoved out, but I think even without lore and reputation, because, you know, they are making a push for Sqaudron42 this year, and lore replication isn't necessarily needed for that, so it does make sense. But hopefully this security stuff will actually kind of make things a little bit more spicy for those of you who constantly have a 5-star crime stat rating.
Well, I want to be able to sell the stolen and illicit goods. Do you know what I mean? That's the other thing for me.
I would
want
imagine
to
you will
sell
have
it.
a place to do that. I'm sure they will put a fence somewhere.
Easy
in the
part,
game.
but I want to know, is it going to be like how many shades are there going to be of lawlessness? Like, you know, you've got the parking ticket, crime stat 1, and then you've got mass murder, crime stat 5. Those two are easy to figure out consequences for, but let's say somebody finds your bad cargo on there. Do they just take it and they're like, this is ours now? You're like, shit, well, okay, there goes that profit. Or do they kill you? Or do they lock you in prison and it becomes star inmate for a while?
So
and then
the way I kind of see it is that sort of 50 Shades of Grey stuff will come once we actually get lore and reputation, I would imagine. But for this initial implementation, is this an illegal good? Yes or no? And it will probably, I imagine, just use the existing system we have right now, which is if you're 4 to 5 star wanted level, then derp, have fun.
what does crime stat 2 and 3 give you in terms of the consequence, though?
Slap on the wrist.
If it's not kill on site, I mean, in the current system, you know what I mean? Like, if it's not kill on site, then what are you?
I think it's going to be the jail time. They've spoken about that before, but it will certainly not be in the first or second iteration of the law and enforcement system.
How good would it be if you just like couldn't play the game for like 2 days?
I would love that.
No, that would be horrendously terrible. That would be awful. I mean, no. Yeah. Absolutely not. What I do want them, I do agree with you though, is like how they're going to, like, because at the moment it is kind of like, you know, it's very black and white, you know, and the fact that we still can't give money to each other as criminals, I think is atrocious. That needs to be, you know, we should, as criminals, we should be, you know, extorting people for money. There needs to be that in the game as quickly as possible, please.
Before somebody jumps in, yes, you can do it with beacons, but it's so much of a ball ache. I'd rather just kill.
No, you can't do it with beacons if you're a criminal, because you get up to 4-5. You can't do it. It doesn't. That's my point. You can do it when you're 3 under, but if you're 4 or 5, and especially if you're killing people all day long, like you are, and like other people do, you know, you run in 4. And also, it's like a badge of honor. It's like an ASBO, you know. It's a badge of honor. 5. I got 5. You know, it's like bang. I'm running 5. 5 red, you know, and it's like people can't then say to me, which is really annoying because that's an emergent gameplay. I've had people do it in chat, you know. I kind of want to give them the opportunity, especially Auroras and whatever, and say, hey, do you know what? Come on in, give me $10 or whatever. You can come in, and then it'll kind of fun, you know. But they can't do it. I
really think that if they dialed up the AI tech and they really figured that out, they can leverage AI for so many different, more interesting things. Like, imagine if at crime stat 5 eventually a hunter killer team is coming for you of AI, and you know, maybe they're really difficult, or maybe they're just you know somewhat challenging, but it would, like, let's say you're sitting on top of JT, you're squatting JT, and nobody's getting in, and you're killing everything that comes in sight, but you start fighting, but then there's also this other team that comes in that you know is coming at some point. They get there on a certain timing, and now there's a whole bunch of stuff to deal with. And you know, I feel like if they got the AI up and running, they could leverage that for content. Even it's not even necessarily story-driven content. It's just like fling some more AI that are reasonably difficult.
They had it
to deal
before.
with.
When in back in 2 previous patches before 3.0 and stuff, and I don't know if they still have it now, but if you go to comm arrays with crime stats, they will be protected by NPC ships, and so they would spawn depending on what crime stat you had, depending on how many ships would spawn. And I used to kind of go in there for fun, and like they would spawn, I think it was like 5 or 6 little Titan Avengers, and they had really deadly aim. And so, and then what was the other thing is, so say Moist and me are both red, it spawns 5 for me, it spawns 5 for Moist. voiced, so you've now got 10 NPCs, and then somebody else comes in, you got 15, and it was so much fun trying to survive. And I would fly into the comm arrays and sit in between, fly in and watch all the missiles, because they fire missiles, so you have missiles and try and crash them into the station. It was really fun. So if anyone's never seen that before, that they had that previously, so I agree 100%. It would be excellent to have that come down, because then you would always have you know, some sort of fighting. You would always, you know, that they're coming, and the NPC and the advocacy would make sense, because the advocacy is like kind of the advanced police force. So when we have the Cutlass Blue, which is coming unfortunately at the end of the year, but the Cutlass Blue, that's your police edition Cutlass. So but maybe they could dial it in. I don't understand
why it's a game anymore, but
it would be nice if they could bring in the advocacy skins. They've already had them. We would bring a few of the Titan Avengers, just bring those in. Maybe a Gemini, you know, it's just the kind of like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of. I feel like that's what I mean. If they had even passingly usable AI, you could create fairly simple combinations of things that would give, you know, if it's not full-on content like quest chains or, you know, reputation storylines or whatever, it would at least be like, hey, here's a gem with fighters around it. You're probably not going to solo it. You're going to need to deal with it somehow. You know what I mean? Like, it would be fairly low investment but high fun content. I don't know.
It is a lot of fun. Like when I was bored, it just added sometimes when there was no one around, and it just was like I just wanted to die, because the reality was the survival rate was incredibly low. It was a real challenge to survive. So, you know, I think I never survived. I always died. And I would get to the point where I had almost done it, and then some idiot would fly in and spawn another 5 or 6 or 12 or whatever. And it was and you get people chasing you.
Consequence, you know, the chance of there becoming a situation where you may not get out of there. You won't be able to overcome it. It's not just like, it's just getting a little bit harder. It's like, hey, it just got real, and you're either in bad shape or you're out of here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it would definitely be good for the people who are the snowflakes at JT, because then they would potentially free up their space, because then they could like sit there and wait for the you know, the NPCs to fly in, see if they clear out the space, and then fly in once the NPCs have cleared it, make their drop.
No. JT is still illicit, so then they would turn on people who aren't crime staff at 5 and clear out the entire area. But then that would give the snowflakes an understanding of why JT is the way it is.
Okay.
I always say this. I'm like, what if we were NPCs? You know, this is a drug lab. What if we were NPCs coming in and, you know, killed you because you're doing illicit things? Would you be spamming chat? Why are the police here? I mean,
the police are hacking. They're using bugs. This is bullshit.
I tell you what, I would definitely try and do is I try and break into one of those police vehicles and just kind of drive around in one, and that would be so much fun, just to kind of confuse people. Break into one.
Yeah.
Advocacy, be like flying around in advocacy ship, and people are like, "What's going on? I'm confused. How is madness? Madness is like kind of that would be great fun.
Noodle would be a real
Noodle madness. Woo! That would be so much fun. But we got the skins. You can get the skins on the Mercury, right? The advocacy skin on the Mercury. So I've got that. I haven't got the Mercury, but I got the skin. So, you know, never know. That would be pretty cool. Right. So that was my kind of like first thing in 3.6, and then my loathe in 3.6. The thing that I loathe the most is the misfiring engine feature. This is so dumb. It makes me want to cry. Why on earth are they making misfiring? I mean, this means again it's going to be like, well, you're not going to know if it's a bug in the game because we're in alpha. You're not going to know, is it the ship? It's just such a bad idea. I don't know why they're doing it. Honestly,
there's already misfires. There's already like times when my like quantum doesn't work, or when I'm trying to hit max afterburner and it won't go past 400 meters per second. I'm like, now you're exactly right. You're not gonna know if this is like an intended consequence or if it's just a bug in the game.
Well, that's a bug. This time it's a bug.
I know that's a bug, but That's once they get engine misfirings, then they get weapon misfirings, and then they get like random like misfires.
Cooling, whatever.
I'm like there's real, and then there's a computer game, and it's like I don't honestly like. I mean, I know they want to have like obviously things that kind of like they like get worse conditioning, and then obviously you'll need to know when to repair and stuff. But I'm like,
I guess I don't understand why it's a priority. Like
I don't know
who's
why
coming up with these priorities, and why is that a priority? Like I don't understand where that lies in between here and 3.8. Why is that a priority? Of all these lists of things that you've got, like I don't know. I just feel so. Then put it on the Sqaudron42 list of things.
Yeah,
I
feel you.
I hate to say it, but pretty much right now, this roadmap that we have for Sqaudron42 is essentially the Sqaudron42 roadmap as well. This is why stuff has been removed, because it's not a priority for Sqaudron42.
Well, do you know what's interesting? What's interesting about the Sqaudron42 roadmap and the persistent universe roadmap is you'll notice that a lot of the things are 1 quarter before the PU. There's a lot of examples where things are finished the quarter before the ones in the persistent universe. I think I've got some examples of them somewhere, but there's like one of the ships is finished a thing before.
I mean, I get that. That's what I assumed it was like in the past, right? Is that we didn't see the roadmap for Sqaudron42, but I assumed that was what was happening. They knock out something for Sqaudron42, and then they try to polish it for the PU.
And then some of them don't. Some of them are lined up at the same time, which is where then it kind of gets a little confusing. And then I kind of go, well, does that, and I try and read into, perhaps read into it a bit too much. You think, well, maybe that's not ready, or that's not a priority, or maybe like it gets confusing. Then like I'm kind of like, well, what? I just kind of get confused. But hey, I'm not making the game, so I'm just like, it's just interesting. Maybe somebody could explain why that would be, why some things are the quarter before the persistent universe and some things aren't. Maybe implementation, I guess. I don't know. But yes,
actually, I can probably explain that.
Okay, go for it. That'd be fascinating to know.
I could be completely wrong, but bear in mind that developing mechanics for a single-player game is one thing, and then developing them for multiplayer actually includes a whole heap of extra work. So they can develop it for Sqaudron42 and have it working on a local client, fine, but then more work is needed to make it work for multiplayer StarCitizen.
That probably makes sense. That would make sense to me. Cool. That would make sense, because I know there's a few people who commented on it, and some people have said like, oh, they don't line up and they're not in sync with each other, and then some of them are crossovers and blah blah blah, and it's like that would make sense then. What we do have coming is we have the Vanguard variants this year. So we'll have the Warden is the first one to drop. We have the Archimedes and the Merlin, the 890 jump. We have some new guns. What's interesting, they've got the new client to server communications going to be improved between this period of time as well, which I think is really good. That should really dial in the frame rates even more, and I think we'll get even better performance, which I'm very excited for.
I'm really hoping that helps with some of the desync issues that we have with the game.
You're always going to get a bit of desync, I think. Unfortunately, that's just the nature of data being transferred around the world, right?
Yeah, but we have quite a few bugs at the moment that are caused by desync. I'm pretty sure the Moby-Glass pop-up, pop-down is a mixture of animation issues and desync.
Yeah. Well, the helmet and the HUD UI improvements are coming as well in 3.6, which is kind of something a lot of people talked about. I think we've talked about in your stream as well most this week, talking about like people saying like, why can't I have my HUD on my helmet? You know what I mean? Why do I always have to bring up my Moby-Glass? I've said they should bring. I'm super excited
to see what they do with it.
I've said they should adopt a bit more of the Dead Space philosophy of trying to have some limited information on your spacesuits, on the back of your spacesuit and on your arms and stuff, rather than just the Moby-Glass. You could kind of gather how much oxygen and things are on your arm. There could be some information, on your suits and stuff, which would be pretty cool to be able to see stuff without always having to bring up your Moby-Glass. And then free player look. I was like, okay, cool, that's nice. And ship rentals. Which is a big one.
That I am excited for, because I think we were having a conversation about ship buying madness.
We were
this week, And one of the biggest mistakes I really feel that CIG have made with the implementation of ship buying in the game is the fact they never included the Avenger. And to me, that just seems so incredibly stupid. Because if you do the math, theoretically, the first upgrade from an Avenger, if you actually want a multi-role ship that can do a bit of everything, is the Cutlass Black. Realistically, and go from an Aurora to a Cutlass Black is over 100 hours of gameplay if you're lucky and you're not suffering with crashes and buggy missions, etc., etc. You know, so to be able to rent ships, I'm really hoping this allows for a better new player experience and allows people to get into slightly better ships so they can enjoy the game earlier on.
Yeah. I hope they don't use this as an excuse not to bring the ships into the game quickly, though. That's my grump to buy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think just go, well, you can rent all the ships now, so we don't need to buy them. I'm hoping they bring in all the ships that we have on the webpage to buy now, pledge store to buy in game.
I would imagine that you'll be able to rent and buy at the same time, because essentially I would imagine that you go to New Deal or whatever, and whatever ships are there, you have the choice of renting or buying them, is what I'm hoping for.
I hope so. It just says rent ships from shops, so I'm hoping that you're right, that you'll be able to buy as well. Fingers crossed.
I don't know why they don't just do a rotation. Like, I thought this was going to be what they did in the end, or initially rather, is that the inventory would change. I thought, like, you go to Teaches and this week. Cool.
That'd be dope.
It's like,
yeah, like that.
Certain games they have a weekly rotation, and you go, oh man, I hope this ship is available for rent or buy this week. I'm gonna pick it up and definitely try it out until whenever. And I feel like that would not be that hard to implement. I mean, if the ship is in game, it should be something they can place on the showroom floor pretty quickly and add just add a price to it, and boom.
That would be great. I think that would be great. Cool. You could have adverts in game. I think that would be absolutely great idea. 100%.
A weekly reason to return too. Be like, oh man, I'm waiting for Monday, and they let us know what the ships are. Somebody tells us what the ships are, and the warden's for sale. Yeah. Finally, I have to go get it.
Yeah, I like that. I like that idea. And then you'll be tempted by another ship, and you spend your money, and then the next day it'll be a different ship, and you'll be like, shit! I shouldn't have spent my money on that day. Damn it! That was the ship I was waiting for. I couldn't hold on. But that would bring up like mobile network stuff, like Destiny and things, when you're finding Xur and what weapons he was selling and stuff. People would then post, a bit like Daniel did with the stream mate. It brings up this. People would then create web pages which would tell you what's in all the shops. So then you'd be able to go in and go, okay, that's selling this week or today. That's selling this selection of ships and stuff, which would be cool. They could do that obviously in their own spectrum. That would be good too. Yeah.
A reason to return weekly to see what's going on, and possibly to be really excited about it.
I would love that. They could create like a web page, like they could do like the shop pages on Spectrum for all the shops, and then you could go, and then you would have like some guy AI on Spectrum talking to you as if it's AI potentially. This is my dream thing, but they could talk to you and kind of interact and tell you, advertise the ships that they have for the week or whatever on the month.
That in Grand Theft Auto, like you'd go to cool. on your mobile phone, and you would go to like the garage pages. You see what cars they've got for sale and stuff.
That'd be sick. That would be sick.
I'd settle for like a nice slick. Much less AI.
I'd be quite happy for. I'd be happy for the same. Not disagreeing. I'd be happy for the basic version, tier 1. Like literally, just give us the variety. But in the end, I also go, well, they've got Spectrum, and they have. I still feel that they could be utilized, that whole section, a lot better than they seem to be. Spectrum just seems like a dumping ground of garbage, in my opinion. What else do we have in 3.6 that's pretty good? Weapon attachments, finally. I'm hoping we don't lose the weapon attachments, because before we've lost all our scopes. Scopes have been just floating behind us and left behind, gun parts left here. I hope we don't, Moist. I can't take it if we do. I'm like, come on, guys. We can't have that again. We can't have, like, scopes kind of like at the end of the gun, at the back of the gun, behind my head.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, I thought you meant just like if you die, you lose the attachment. You have to buy the gun, but you also have to buy the scope.
You're probably a little bit young. You're probably a bit young for the scoping, but they had all the attachments. Like, we had like attachments before, and let's just say they never really stayed attached to the weapons.
Yeah,
well, you see people running around, and the attachment is like desyncing behind the gun as they're running. It was just so funny.
This is the part of the development process that I'm unclear about. You know, are there parts of the FPS gameplay that are revolutionary?
Zero G
out of their way to get an FPS team, because of all the parts of the game universe that are not being reinvented or don't need to be reinvented, I feel like making an FPS where there are guns with sights on them and there's ballistics and you know, it works pretty well, even passably well, is something that the industry's kind of locked down already. I mean, look at the preponderance of FPS games coming out right now.
These guys, I don't think, have made FPS though, Snake. That's the point. This is their first ever FPS game.
Go to Steam. There's
Wasn't
games
there
that are
something
like
special
$20 out there that is a small, you know, it's like, I'm unclear why it's such a like
You seen the
enigma
chicken
wrapped
head
in a
thing?
mystery for them to
seen
come
the
up with the
chicken?
FPS part of this game.
Have you seen the chicken head video?
No.
No, I will send you the chicken head video, and I think it'll explain a little bit more about the complications that StarCitizen has created for itself because of the way they want to do first person and they want the view to be accurate and all the rest of it. Whereas most FPS games cheat first person; it's not truly a first person experience. Whereas they've created like basically a chicken's head. If you ever see a chicken, its body moves around, but the head stays absolutely dead still. They've got the same kind of rigging system within StarCitizen for the way the head stays still and stuff, which creates a whole level of problems in all different ways. I'll send you the video. It's a really good video.
They should go talk to. I mean, the people have figured that one out too, though. I mean, EFT doesn't cheat. Their ballistics are fully accurate to the eye through the optic to the round. You know, being displaced. The round isn't coming out of the optic. The round is coming out of the barrel, and there's, you know, displacement and stuff. It's just, I feel like they're just understaffed, or they're not hiring the right people, or something, because.
Possibly.
I understand when they go into flight and they're at the third flight model, and I understand there's nobody that can tell you how to make the proper sim physics, because it's not a real thing exactly. I mean, it's based on science, but it's also fictional. But like FPS stuff is like every, you know, I don't know, 48 hours there's an FPS game coming out. Why is it so? I mean. I don't know.
Maybe it's just the features that they actually want were not available in that Crytek engine originally. Like you said, the bullet is not coming out of the scope, but out of the barrel itself. I don't know
But couldn't that be a thing where like they're very, very willing to put something in and then change it later?
Well, yeah.
Why don't you implement a, like, you know, mortal system and then go for the godly system later when you want to do a new gun model or a new like FPS model or something, but puts
I don't know if that will interfere.
Go get the Counter-Strike and, you know, go get the Counter-Strike code, buy a license for that shit and put that in for now. You know what I mean? Like I don't know why is it so hard? I don't know.
It's like I said. I mean. But that's type of thing. Maybe when you actually get out Citizen Con, Snake, we could probably ask the FPS team, I guess, really, and just have a chat with them and be like, find out. I mean, the way I look at it is like I would love to know more of the people who work on the sections to see what their background and their history is, because they're they're very good at Squadron42 when they advertise. We got Gary Oldman, we got this, we've got that, we got these people, we got Chris Roberts who did Wing Commander, we've got Tony Z or whatever, we got people that did Mech Warrior. I would like to know. I agree. It'd be kind of interesting to know like the FPS. We did. The background, to know what they've done and other games that would kind of explain. It could turn out that none of them have ever done an FPS game before who's working on it, and they're having to hire people in, and it's hard to get hold of people.
So I'm going to make a couple of points. I don't think that much work has been done on FPS since Star Marine, realistically. I know they've done the odd few bits, and when I say odd few bits. Like I know they weren't small things, but you know, Star Marine was implemented, and then not that much more has come since. My second point is exactly, and my second point is they recently hired people to work on FPS stuff. So I would
encouraging,
yeah, because in fact they are still hiring somebody. I think it's a level designer position at one of the studios, but the person that they want needs to have FPS level designing experience. So yeah, I think this stuff will come, but yeah, they wanted to get Star Marine out the door. They got Star Marine out of the door, and I think we'll be seeing something, because they have to nail it for Squadron, right? Like they were going to be.
You think so,
like,
right?
It's got to be. They've got 48 months, no, 24 months before they're supposed to have like an enjoyable first-person game, and like I get that the flying of the ships is a big part of it, but like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe you don't shoot things.
It depends.
Yes,
it depends on like what we say like it's enjoyable, because like, you know, there's the visual aspect that always looks stunning. Like for example, when I watch Rexzilla, you know, great streamer. He does a great job of promoting the cinematography of StarCitizen and the way it looks, and kind of getting everyone together and the scope and the potential of the game. But when you actually dive into the actual combat itself and the accuracy of gunplay, the accuracy, the way that the bullet feels, obviously the lack of scopes that work, and just the way it feels.
Can I point out that the person that you're aiming at, their body disappears after a certain range.
Yeah,
you can shoot further than you can see the person you're shooting at.
Yeah,
and I love what Rexzilla does, but in essence, it's combat RP, right? It's not truly the most deadly wins. It's a cinematographic like exercise, really, what it is, and it looks wicked. It is such a cool vision of the future. Yeah, because he's got it so well organized and laid out, but in reality, it's not like you're going into a true competitive, you know, type of a combat situation, because the mechanics just aren't.
No, it's not like dialed in like we say like a PUBG, or like you say Tarkov, or you know, even you know Apex Legends and things like that. It's not dialed in like that. You know, it's
Counter-Strike. You know, like Counter-Strike or name any FPS game in the last 20 years.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's just not AAA. It's double C with a D on the end of it. You know, it's not there yet at all. It looks good, and I give, or maybe it's A for looking good, and then I would say the rest is kind of DD. You know, that's the best way I would describe it. But okay, so that's the FPS kind of things. We now move on. Oh, actually, do you know what's really interesting? And not many people have talked about this, and this is one of my major highlights of 3.6. Automated, harvestable entity spawning. Yeah. Hype farming in game is all I can say. I was just like, sick! That was so cool. I was just kind of like...
I can't wait to watch people getting out of their ships at Jumptown and actually picking their space Swede. It's going to be great.
This feels...
Fields, boys.
I just can't wait. I was just like... When I saw that, I was like, no one's talking about it. Like, no one has been talking about it. I was like, that was super cool. Harvestable entity spawning. I was just like... Yeah, you know? I was just so excited for that.
Citizen, it's common, boys.
Farming,
does it
finding...
mean we can put it into boxes and stuff, or just in our internal inventory?
I don't know.
Any
I
ideas
don't
on
know.
Well,
I have no...
Will we have an internal inventory at this point?
Maybe not in 3.6. But...
It says underlining tech development to allow for an automated system to enable spawning harvestable entities on planets, moons, and asteroid fields. That's dope.
Oh, we get physical inventories at 3.7. So yeah, you'll be able to stuff your space weed in your pants. Don't worry, Bob.
3 grams allowed.
which is so cool. That's cool. Distribution and ecosystem pipeline improvements. So again, it's improvements to obviously asteroid visuals and just in general, obviously, the polish, the fidelity. Like I keep saying, that's the priority over fun. That keeps continuing to be improved, which is fine. Really, really good. 3.7. Now this is kind of cool. So I have a few pictures on this. So we have the Bounty Hunter armor coming in.
I'm so excited for this.
Yeah, these are some of the things like they are so the things that are in their wheelhouse. I'm so surprised they don't hammer harder. Like they're so good at making armor. They're so good at armor. It's like they should have like I know they're trying to some extent keep things close to the vest when it comes to like true encounterable content, but man, like if you have a team that's just making armor for like 4 or 5 years, that they can put out a lot of different armor sets, and I'm looking forward to seeing.
It's the amazing thing is the ability that they've created. So it's not just a set of armor. They obviously create sets, but we get the opportunity to mix it up beautifully, where we can kind of we can dial in here. It makes it so. Like I've said before, I was like, oh, what's the? I said it before and I was wrong. I said, what's the go-to armor in StarCitizen? And I realized there is no real go-to apart from heavy armor, obviously for not dying. But other than that, in terms of look, aesthetics, it's what you create. And I love that. I love that about StarCitizen now, and I didn't get it at start, and now I get it. And the Bounty Hunter armor, like whether you like the side helmets or not, it's kind of dope and crazy. Like I actually ended up looking into it, and I was like, it reminded me of the necromongers from Pitch Black. He had the helmet with the 3 faces on the side, and it's actually like Hindu and Greek and like loads of like historical things have the faces like on multiple sides of the kind of the helmet and stuff, which is really, really cool. I found one which looked literally just like the guy had ripped it straight off. Hang on, let's see if I got it here. Look, with the face with the three faces split through. This looks very cool. And I just love I love it. Some people said that maybe the mask closes, but actually, which is perfectly possible to have the 2 eyes. But then I was like, well, how does that work? Then you'll have 3 eyes across. Yeah. You'll have like 3 it'll be off to the side. If you actually look at it in terms of design language, it doesn't work. If it closed on the drawing, you would end up with it slightly off. It would look a bit weird, but it could close. But then you'd have 2 mouths like kind of right next to each other. It wouldn't work. This is designed to be split.
Yeah, maybe this is just like a cosmetic, supposed to be fearsome looking, but what I see is actually the most modern iteration of NVGs are those 4 optic that give you a better field of view when you're using nods. It looks just like this, almost. Maybe if you had the 4th one in the middle there, but still, you could a variation of this be like looks fearsome, but in reality, as a bounty hunter, this is to give you night vision and very good night vision.
Is that something they use in real life? What you just explained?
Yes. So if you Google like night vision goggles, the most recent version of them, it's designed to better peripheral vision. Like current nods, like normal nods, give you very limited field of view for night vision, but the new ones are like these 4. You see them on movies and stuff now. They're the cat's out of the bag, so it's not anything crazy. But that I'm divulging. But it's like this 4 optic system that goes across your eyes, and it gives you a better peripheral under nods and stuff.
Right.
It looks just
a bit like Geordie's visor, we had from Star Trek. We had like kind of like the goes all the way around. You can kind of see.
Oh, here it is. Oh, yeah. That looks,
if everyone remembers what I'm talking about from Star Trek.
Yeah. That's too high sci-fi. It's not really enough.
I always wanted one of those when I was a kid. I was just like, that looks so cool. But yeah, that's I'll have to dig out that maybe next week. I'll dig out that because that sounds amazing. If someone's got a link, find a link for it, and we'll chuck it in chat, and I'll bring it up, and we can have a look at the optics because that sounds fucking cool. Oh, someone's already done it.
Oh yeah, I just came across a website with the L3 GPN VG18 Envis. Night vision goggles.
Yeah, I'll show you.
Pretty awesome.
Oh shit! Yeah. Okay. There we go.
You can see kind of what I'm talking about. That it looks very much like the helmet that is in that concept piece looks fearsome, and that's part of the job of a bounty hunter, is to look like a scary man, so that you can convince them to. Because as a bounty hunter, realistically, you probably want to convince people to just give up and get cuffed and be brought in, because every time you have to fight them is a chance that you get killed. So if you look fearsome, nasty, maybe they'll just be like, okay, got me, you know. But in actuality, it's like an NVG system that they can use to stalk their prey or whatever, you know.
But we all know that bounty hunters are the coolest people of the cool, you know what I mean? From Star Trek, Star Wars, from anyone, any sci-fi world, the bounty hunters are the coolest of the cool,
so much
you know.
From reality television.
No. Well, kind of, in a way, though. I kind of like weren't.
They're always bizarre and overweight.
Cowboy bounty hunters. Yeah. Like in the latest, what's the movie, Django? The bounty hunter there, and Christopher Waltz's character was tremendous as the Doctor, as the bounty hunter.
That's not reality.
That's so real. He was awesome. What a scene.
It was awesome, yeah. But...
What a scene. But no, I know what you mean. The long hair, the long blonde hair guy with the, you know, that kind of bounty hunters kind of killed it. Killed it off.
Illusion of amazing bounty hunters. But yeah, I think I love that melding of, like, my first love is concept art, and like taking that you know, some real world grounding with like totally high concept stuff is super cool. Super cool.
We have rest stops. So they've obviously been working on improvements to the rest stops over the next. They're going to be improving the variety of the rest stops. We're now going to get empty rest stops. We're going to get the expanding archetypes of stuff, AI archetypes, improvements to shopkeepers. There's a lot of AI this year. AI is obviously the super priority. They obviously staffed up heavily this year on AI. I think the realities are very clear that Tony Z's blackboard behind him with like 25 different bits of information. You know, we've all been screaming to say, well, I have anyway, going, you know, Tony, what's going on, dude? You promised the world, but nothing's coming to fruition in terms of anywhere near what you've been talking about. We can't talk about it anymore. We need to see it. Clearly, they've recognized that perhaps the staff isn't there to be able to create it, or they need more brain power. I don't know what it is, but I think that's the case. So, yeah, so the AI is super important this year. Everything has huge amounts of AI in every single chunk.
Again, it has to be, because Sqaudron42.
Exactly.
Without the AI,
exactly.
They're constantly shifting resources back and forth between StarCitizen and Sqaudron42. Now Sqaudron42 is the main focus. You can clearly see it in 3.5, 3.6, 3.7, up to 8. It's almost no gameplay, but just optimizations and improvements overall.
Yeah. So, go for sorry.
I'm a huge fan of rest stops. That's maybe one of my favorites things in the game, because you just feel like you're out in some little microcosm in space. You know, you can buy a few things. Who knows who you'll meet there. A little confused though. In 3.7, they're listing as a feature unoccupied rest stops.
I
So you're saying you're going to remove all the content from rest?
Necessarily empty.
I think bear in mind that they're going to start filling them with NPCs that are actually doing stuff and going to be a little bit more reactive to us. And what I would imagine is, like, the further out from the center of a system you are, the more sparse the population will be, essentially.
That makes sense, but I guess from like a game mechanic standpoint, I wondered if they meant maybe trying to understand what they're saying. Like maybe it was like, you know, some arrays are like quests locations, and they don't have anything in them, but you have to go there for a reason. Maybe that's what they're talking about. But I'm like, in 3.7, you're removing all content from a rest stop and calling it a feature.
They're not. They're not. Honestly, it says very clearly. They say that these variants have basic fuel and repair functionalities, but minimal crew, security, and shopping opportunities, including derelicts, but not necessarily empty. Stations permanently closed by the owners, for example. So they may, like you said, there might be mission things in there. There could be some creepy shit in there. You know, you never know. There could be an opportunity to dial up the fear factor. I'd love for them to throw a fucking alien in there to kill us. That would be brilliant. You know.
Speaking of the rest stops, I'm really looking forward to the variations that
Pirates
are going to be coming, because right now they all do look the same, which is why I think I've been to one truck stop in my entire time.
Huge ones, like a couple of
one.
What's the reason to go there though? Like, there's no real reason to go there.
Everything is half price.
Yeah, there's one. That's the weapon purchasing, but
Yeah.
and you can, and it's the second best alternative to selling Widow in, outside of Grim.
Okay.
Like,
Okay. Good to know.
Let's see, and then truck stops, but yeah, I think when they a couple of maybe it was before the holiday break though, they had on a video like they're talking about these huge rest stops, which would be like probably places where you can spawn and all that type of thing. I'm looking forward to that for sure.
Yes.
Okay. Next thing we have is obviously the NPCs will engage with a wider variety of weapons, which I think is definitely needed. That's really good. Improved fuel scoop game mechanics and expanded behavior. Now, thank God for that. And I'm just going to say, like, now I don't understand why the glaive has a terrible fuel versus the scythe. I have no idea why the scythe's fuel is so much better than the glaive. I mean, you could say in lore that that we fucked up as as humans trying to build the glaive, but I just think it's ridiculous.
That's the only thing I can think of is any implementation that doesn't work as well on the glaive is an attempt at reproduction as opposed to making their own, because of course we have lots of ships that stuff works on that we make, but
just stick the I'll just stick the arrows fuel scoop on the glaive. It'll work really well,
You're not having my arrows fuel scoop.
Stick it on the glaive, please. That stuff's kind of sucky, but I just think that they need to look at that for sure. I'm glad they're looking at it, the fuel scooping, and because I know that there are a lot of people who were like, like they got rid of it for some ships, and it's like, doesn't make any sense why they got rid of it.
Fuel should be a lot more difficult to manage. Like if you were in a flight sim, even in a really good fuel efficient vehicle, you're talking about a couple hours maybe of gas, and we're talking about 15 minutes if you're using afterburner, if not 4 minutes. So do you feel like it should be harder to manage fuel in the sense that it should be a decision like, okay, we're about to get into an engagement, look at my fuel, I'm at 75%. If I start pumping afterburner and boost and stuff, we're talking about like 4 minutes of fight time.
I do that already. I do that with my glaive. I have to. I go I get
that's
one go at jump town
more
and
across
done.
the board. You know what I mean? Should that be like a thing? Because then fuel would be a commodity. There'd be another decision-making aspect of the matrix where you're like, these are the things I have to, the state of my ship before I engage, fight or whatever is a consideration, because that would give ships that aren't clear, pure killers, like JT, for example, maybe a Cutlass goes down there and starts engaging, but, hey, I've got more gas than this person. Maybe I lead this guy on a merry chase for a couple minutes in afterburner. They're going to have to go home afterward.
When it's in game, dude, when the Starfarer can refuel ships, then I would say 100% it would be good to have a bit more of that dialed in. But until the Starfarer is refueling, then I would say it's not there yet. But I definitely want a bit more of that for sure. And I would like to have another smaller ship than the Starfarer, maybe a bit more agile, that could fill you up a little bit quicker than the Starfarer.
I don't know if
the
anybody
Vulcan can do it.
ever played Free Space or Free Space 2, but in the middle of a battle you could call for rearming, and a ship would come, dock to your docking collar, rearm you, and fly away. And I would love to see, like you said, a smaller ship that can
could be NPC.
Rearm you on the fly. Yeah, hell, even if it was an NPC that you could call to come to you. I think that would be freaking awesome.
Rather than you could have a person come and do it, but it would be cool if an NPC. I mean, they've already got the technology where they're starting to talk about taking off. It's on the roadmap. They talk about NPCs. They've got one with flight NPCs, improved flight mechanics for NPCs again. So, which I'm hoping will start to bulk out the verse where we'll start to see airplanes flying. Spaceships flying around. Flying around between. The planets and stuff, see much more NPCs en route to places rather than just seeing people all the time. It'd be kind of cool to see more and more hustle and bustle in the verse.
I feel like it'll deepen the experience for all the ships and include more decision-making points, like missiles, for example. One way you could fix missiles is by making fuel more scarce, meaning okay, maybe missiles can't land as well as they should be landing, but if you use them as a zoning tool like you do now, they're already usable as a zoning tool right now because you can't purely ignore them. But let's say if while you're zoning, you know, that's another minute off of your gas that you won't have to fight with. That would make missiles more viable. Not by, you don't even touch anything to do with missiles. You just make it so that fuel is a little more scarce and is used up faster. And so if somebody has to evade missiles, that's cutting time of their time on target down, and that will give them another decision-making point right there. It's like, okay, can I come back and re-engage, or am I at a fuel state where I'm bingo fuel? I got to go get more gas before I can come back here. Yeah. You know, I feel like that deepens the experience for not just combat, but
I think it's coming.
People that are trying to survive as a cargo runner. You know,
it's definitely.
By the way, thank you for chat to remind me that the Vulcan exists, because that is the ship that I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, yes, the Vulcan is that smaller one, I suppose. But we wait and see. I'm hoping it comes. I don't think it's on the roadmap, is it, the Vulcan to come in this year? So unless I've missed it. So that's we're kind of answering our own question there. That's the smaller ship won't be here. I don't think refueling is even on the roadmap yet, is it? Game mechanic. Did I miss
refueling.
Fuel scooping.
I've got fuel scooping, but not refueling. I don't think not coming this year unless it ends up being a surprise. Yeah, exactly. I didn't think it was coming. So unfortunately, yes, that one's going to have to be. So yes, to answer your question, I wanted Snake, but I don't think it'll come for a while. So for me, I just like them to make it so the spaceships last a bit longer. But I don't.
Well, we'll see what happens with the new flight mechanics.
Let's see. Could be worse. Could be better. We'll see.
That's what I mean. Though. I don't think the ships lasting longer is the answer. I think getting more ships that don't have the gas to spend an hour
with you. I just they haven't got fuel repair. That's could you imagine if they make it so that exactly what you wanted now? Like if all of the ships flew with the fuel capacity of the Glaive, I guarantee it, people would be grumbling like crazy. Like if every single ship.
I know but that's what they want an arcadey game then, because if you've got tons of fuel, 2 hours worth of fuel, then you're going to have these situations where people just sit over the spot, and there's no opportunity, there's no opening for
it's coming
different stuff.
And that'll stop that.
Yeah.
In the atmosphere, so you won't be able to sit. Only certain ships will be able to sit on top of JT without obviously burning through their VTOL. Like, so that wait and see what that, like I say, the flight model, when the VTOL thrusters and atmosphere comes in, then that'll be interesting to see what happens, because Moisten might not be able to sit on top of it with his arrow anymore.
How dare you? I don't sit still.
And boom.
Dickheads like me to come being super stealthy and just two-shot you. Just
There'll be lots more people parking on the planet, that's for sure, and waiting for the ships to come in and taking off, I guess. But then there's still the VTOL. I don't know. But I definitely agree with you, Snake. I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I think you're absolutely right. That's why we want the immersiveness of the fuel to come in. But I feel like they need to have the fuel restocking in the game. Ships to come and, like Moist was saying, to come and refuel our ships would be nice.
Dirk actually makes a really good point in chat. So I wonder, with the new fuel scooping mechanics, if the Starfarer will actually be able to start scooping and selling to refineries. That would actually be really exciting.
I hope so. The refineries, we have new cargo stations now, don't we? We have cargo stations.
Scooping until you can sell. Does that sound like a...
Look, mining doesn't sound exciting to me, chap.
Someone might find it. Someone might.
Something. Flying around scooping cloud tech, it seems like you're not doing anything. But...
Hey, if it makes you a shit ton of money, people are going to do it, man. Like, if it's the easiest way to make money without dying, and you'd be like, well, okay, I can put it into, I can just sit there and put my tunes on, wander around whilst my ship is just scooping up, making me money.
Cup of coffee.
People might do it, exactly. I'm sure people will do it. What have we got? Oh, close quarters combat. CQC mechanics are coming in. So that's going to be interesting to see how good or how clunky with desync that whole game experience of fighting. It could be absolutely hilarious. It could be like... Lots of people.
Can you imagine if they have FOIP on the facial expression?
This is the kind of stuff I don't understand. Why, in an FPS game that's very popular to play right now, just get a melee mechanic, like animation. You get a melee animation, and it doesn't look like it connects or anything like that. They're not concerned with that shit. Like dial in the FPS first, CIG. Don't worry about stealthy takedowns and all that bullshit. Like,
It'd be great. Like, you're fighting with somebody, and they just get press F to take down. That's all.
I want the slapping game. We need a good slap with the sound animations of a slap, so you can just slap somebody. That's what we need in the game.
Bud Spencer style.
Better to run up to somebody, more lethal to run up to somebody and hit your button than it is to shoot them with mini rounds.
Stab them. Like we're definitely going to get obviously stealth kills, like
lightsabers. Confirmed.
Lightsabers, that would be awesome. But they've already shown us there's going to be improved death mechanics. So perhaps with close combat, you'll be able to do different stabs, and then there'll be different death mechanics. They're improving on all the ragdoll effects again. You know, they keep improving on all these, you know, stuff that we've seen a million times. I keep going, where are the new game mechanics? Where are the new animations? I'm okay with what we have currently. I don't need to kind of see continued repolishing of the same ones. Just give me something new. But they keep repolishing the same ones over. I don't know how many times I've seen a vaulting mechanic. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
For 2 years of vaulting mechanic animations and walking on land in different angles, I'm sure it's really difficult, but it's like, come on, can we get some climbing going? There's a lot of rocks in this game, you know. It's a lot of rocks. It'd be nice to have some climbing and better vaulting.
Rocks.
Maybe like flipping over my vehicle would be a good animation again to have.
Yes. Procedural asteroids inbound feature.
Yeah, like just throwing it out there. Still not in here to say that. Although maybe it is actually. I don't know. I think there was one actually. I think that said
literally 3.6 procedural asteroids.
Yeah.
Asteroids.
Procedural.
Why do we care about procedural asteroids?
It's visual, man. It's for all those people who do those cinematics.
Like, you know what? That asteroid looks the same as that one over there, man.
Yeah, it's for the cine. It's all for those videos on YouTube, dude. It's all for those videos. Here's another one though. It's pretty cool. Players can swim. I don't know if they've actually found water in StarCitizen. I'm guessing there is some on Hurston. Is that right? There's Hurston's got water.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes there's water in Levski.
Visually.
You know, I really look forward to with this. Hot tub.
Skinny dipping. Hot tubbing.
They've got to bring water mechanics in for the 890 jump.
Yeah. Well, I was wondering how this will work with like, imagine how deep they could potentially get. Like, obviously, if you drop out your ship and then you land in the water, obviously you're gonna die because it's like hitting concrete. But let's just say that you were high enough and you're just gonna, you know, you're wearing heavy armor. You're just gonna sink to the very bottom of the ocean. But you're not gonna die because you're gonna have oxygen.
Armor for that.
Because you're in a spacesuit, so you'll have to use your oxygen. You make sure you've got oxygen pens, because that might actually give us a reason to use the oxygen pens. Because at the moment, everyone never really needs to use them. So to get out of this enormous underwater, it might most people will probably just be like, "Oh, I give up." Again, more reason for jetpacks is all I'm saying. You know, to be able to zoom around in water and stuff. But anyway. We'll see. Anyway, in water, a whole new world of problems and new things coming, guys, that we don't need. Yay!
Seaweed all over my face.
Whole new things. Player stats tracks will be attribute stamina or oxygen, so expanded, including thirst, hunger. Sorry, that's just my kind of like, oh my god, seriously. Rest, inebriation, hygiene. Need a shower.
Oh, I was about to say shower.
And temperature. So now we're adding to the Moby-Glass with obviously thirst, hunger, rest, and other things like that. I don't know. I'm still torn on the whole kind of survival-y kind of mechanics in the game. In this game, I don't know.
This is starting to sound a lot like a Siberian train simulator game that I know of.
I did watch the trailer for that game, most, and I'm disturbed a little bit that our leader and savior is like,
I'm gonna see it later.
Actually, a great up and coming game. I'm like, oh my god.
Chris Roberts, the guy that's making this game, is suggesting it to people. So
I'm fairly sure that
fair, no, I don't think it was that. There was an aspect of it out of context. Well, when you know the context does make sense.
Okay.
fairly sure
power
that Chris is
systems.
looking differently at games than we do.
Yes, yeah, he's looking at the hair growth in Red Dead
Well,
Redemption.
no, yeah.
Actually, it
technique
was
behind
from what I've been told, it was the flicky switches. So pressing buttons in your cockpit and stuff like
Fair
that.
enough. That's very specific, so that that's fine. That's all right.
Cool. Okay. We have new power systems. Expanding existing power systems provides systemic, connected gameplay in environments and vehicles. And this is the lift systems to power and dealing with the impacts of EMP. So that's going to be really interesting to see, because obviously we've already, Snake is a big EMP fan. You like the way that is. I've seen you fly your Warlock quite a lot, and you like the way that kind of mixes and throws combat into a whole different place. I do think that it's clunky in terms of the counter mechanics to it at the moment within StarCitizen. So this is definitely good. Most people who don't know how to deal with MP have no idea how to switch their power back on. So you just see them going. Whereas if you do know, hit that 4 button, get that power. Keybind it, power.
It's not that hard.
Get your power back.
Just...
No, it isn't. But for some people, they have no idea. But it does mess up stuff.
Disable in any game. Disable. If you could say, oh well, this disable ability, is totally unfair because it disables me. It's it's like people that are fast on it literally are flying again within 2 seconds.
The advantage of the arrow is that it's nimble enough to just, as I see an EMP ship coming towards me, I'm just like, I'm going to step to the right, thank you.
Well, the arrow's weakness is EMP ships.
Yeah,
especially
but I cannot remember the last time I was actually hit by an EMP.
You haven't
I'm trying to get Snake yet.
Not sidestepping 1200.
No, I'm sure Snake would wreck me because Snake wrecks me every time. The point I'm trying to make is like, in the hands of somebody who really knows what they're doing. That's fair enough, but
I think it'd be cool though. I mean, it'd be cool to see deeper impacts of all combat in the ship.
Maybe we'll get shielded power plants. That'll be harder to EMP. In my head, maybe that'll be where this kind of goes. So you'll have better. You'll make a choice. Maybe your power plant won't be so good for military purposes, but it will stop you from being EMP'd, and you'll have to make a conscious choice. You'll be like, well, okay, do I want to quickly go back to respawn my ship? And you're fighting against a bunch of EMP ships, so you switch out the component that's the power to one that's a bit more shielded against EMP. Maybe gives you less power, you overheat quicker on your weapons, but it enables you to stay in the fight better or something. I don't know. That's just spitballing.
Doesn't the EMP fry your electronics?
It doesn't permanently fry them.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not permanent. I think that's
permanent.
That would be a little OP.
That'd
Would
be
actually be
that'd be pretty hard.
The one weapon to rule all weapons.
Yeah, I can remember 263 at Korea that I came across an EMP dude, and he fried my Hornet, and I was basically done. Couldn't restart, couldn't fly away.
I mean, this is the thing that you do raise an interesting point about obviously this is the idea of coming to maybe potentially to cripple ships rather than to to cripple them so that you can obviously extort money or I don't know, whatever, board the ships and stuff. I don't know. We'll know more, I guess, as we get along.
Yeah, like deep in the EMP granularity to be like, there's EMPs that eliminate shields, there's EMPs that turn your ship off completely, or not completely, but like for a certain amount of time. Because right now the amount of time is based on the player. They can start your ship back up instantly, but there is a mechanic in there where if you're hit by an EMP twice, your shield cooldown increases drastically. So if you get hit twice by an EMP, now your shields will stay down for quite a bit longer. So that type of thing where if you're trying to run away from a bounty hunter and a bounty hunter has to nail you maybe 3 or 4 times with an EMP before he can fully get your ship to shut off for long enough to board it, that would give a little bit of a cat and mouse type of a thing to that non-lethal combat. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah,
something like that.
I hope so. We'll see. We'll find out. I'm sure that's where we're going. They've talked about crippling ships before, like Bok was mentioned. They've talked about it before, Bok, and that's where they want to get to, obviously, with time to kill and stuff. So it's going to be a tough balancing act.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough balancing act because obviously, you have smaller ships. I'm fascinated to see how it develops. I mean, I think they're going to get it right at times, and I think they're going to get it wrong. Hopefully more right than wrong, but it's certainly going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to grumbling about it and also being praising about the success when it happens as well. It's going to be quite good. PvP bounty improvements. So security forces will search the stolen and illicit items and respond appropriately. So this comes obviously after the previous one. So they're obviously going to continue to be working on this illicit bounty. I honestly, if I'm being truthful, I don't expect this to make it in the first one, and I expect this one, this whole thing to probably be shifting around. This is one of the things I think that won't make it. In truth, I don't think the PvP, the security illicit items and stuff, I think that will be one of the things that gets, because they notoriously, I think it's usually anywhere between 30 and 50% of the content makes it, as far as I'm aware, every year.
Yeah, but did you not watch RTV?
Yeah.
Erin said it was. Erin specifically said they haven't actually added a lot of things to the roadmap because they didn't want to be in that position. And they haven't added a lot of things.
They haven't added a lot of things. It's still
pretty heavy. Wait for it. With the specific reasoning that they don't have specific teams in place to work on those yet, and they are recruiting for them. So things will probably actually, as they recruit people and create these new teams, actually be moved forward.
Proof is in the pudding, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I hope it's true. We've heard it before.
From somebody else.
I trust Erin more to a degree.
Yeah.
But Erin told me that what was it? Did he tell me would be in something would be in 3 ship buying or something would be in 3.0, I think it was, or 3.1 at BritainCon, and it didn't get in until obviously considerably later. So I hope so. I do hope so. I'm just. They've got no bank when it comes to that type of stuff, sadly, StarCitizen with me. They got a bit better, obviously, with 3.3 and 3.4, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, but I don't know, we'll see. Historically, they're notoriously bad. Fingers crossed.
Can I just remind you of something, though?
Go for it.
These are goals.
Yes.
Don't act like these are concrete promises.
No, I know, but then we were talking about the percentage of the goals being successful. That's what we were discussing, not the fact that they're goals. We were talking about the percentage of the goals that are successful over the years, and they've been, notoriously bad. And you just said that Erin is not necessarily promised, but said that this year their main focus is to try not to increase the percentage. So rather than being 30, 40%, they're going to be doing 70%, 80%, whatever it is, which I hope you're right, and I hope that's true. Unfortunately, the history isn't great, but we'll give them the benefit of the doubt this year, because the 3.4 was so good. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and be positive about it.
Thank God you're being positive.
Yeah, it's the beginning of the year. Why not, eh? Why not? Again, I've been having fun with the game again. It's been great. I've been enjoying it. It's been really fun. Improvements to the cockpit experience. I think everybody here would say that the cockpit is this tricky, and I still think the UI and stuff, they need to continue to really work on the cockpit experience that for many of the ships, especially the fucking globe that you get in some of the ships that just drives everyone crazy. That's just a bug, I know, but that would be nice to get rid of as soon as possible for some of the Sabre ships and the 600 and some of the other ones.
It's actually really prevalent in the Aurora, which is probably one of the worst ships if you're trying to set out this new player experience.
Yeah.
And they can't even see out of the fucking cockpit. Excuse me.
It's true.
It's not,
I think that also, sort of an anecdotal point of interest, I've been looking back into some systems to try to learn how to do certain types of radar things and stuff, but I come up on videos of much older cockpit setups, and the odd thing about it is some of them look really good. Some of them look very functional and very sci-fi and very modern. I had to look at the date of the YouTube video on a couple of them and be like, are these? No, these are old ones, not new ones. They look like more advanced versions of than what we have now. And I'm thinking, there's got to be a good reason that we feel like we've taken a couple steps backward in the cockpit UI, or that whole experience.
Same goes for Mobilglass.
On some ships we have, and on other ships it's gone forward. It's kind of a real to and fro on that one. Unfortunately, it's very frustrating. They can't seem to crack it perfectly for everything. Yeah, frustrating. The sorry, because we got a lot. I'm just going to kind of keep whipping through some of this stuff. We have PvP. No, we've done that one already. Okay, this is cool and interesting. Adding the ability to dock and to spawn vehicles connected to space stations. This functionality is required for some of the larger ships to spawn at certain locations, because obviously we're going to get in the 600i. You know, the first capital ship in the game. No, 600i. Sorry, A90 jump. My bad. The first capital size ship in the game. And so, but I'm interested, like they're saying, spawning vehicles to stations. I'm like, oh, well, I can already spawn my Nox and my thing. Do they mean spawning ships inside the vehicles? You know, that's what I've been wanting for a while now, is the ability to spawn my, you know, they showed us the tech a long time ago with them spawning vehicles inside the ships. So, is that what that means? Adding the ability to dock is huge. They've talked, I think that's something that's coming this year, is docking, which is fantastic.
I'm very
Station docking.
Curious to know how it's going to work. Because if the ship is viewable from the outside, how does it deport?
What do you mean, sorry?
Well, if you dock with a station, and say you're docked outside, docking collar, whatever, even though they said the docking collar was the way of the dodo, well, you go in, you log off, and your ship is using that one docking collar.
I'm guessing it will disappear. I'm guessing. Right.
So you've got this big, massive ship that just suddenly goes poof.
What does that on the pads? No.
Yeah, that's basically
but aren't they trying to move away from that though?
Well, they were trying to, but I don't see any other way.
Multiple times they don't want ships just to go poof.
There comes a point when you have
desire over
but no. Here's my point. Freelancer is an old game. It was produced by Chris Roberts. Ships didn't suddenly go poof.
Okay, so you're saying then that
they went inside the station. So pretty much like I think they've missed a trick. And it's the same with Elite Dangerous. Elite Dangerous does the same thing. So with Elite Dangerous, for example, you land on the pad goes down and the door closes. So the ship
they could do that, but have you seen the size of the Javelin next to Port Olisar?
Yeah, but that's why if you go back
station.
About 2 minutes, I said I'll be very curious to see what they do.
Well, I think maybe they do go away from that though, because now that I think about it, they're replacing Porto with a bigger station. If you look at the other ways, like I guess there are a couple pads on truck stops, but I expect there to be a lot more hangars than pads in the future to avoid that sort of, or to try to avoid
just a big parking lot.
They may bring in is when you get, you land on a pad, say at Port Olisar, you walk away, and as you're walking away from your ship, a little man gets in and flies it away. And then when you request it, they bring it back to you.
Yeah. I mean,
that would be. It's all about disguising what's really going on, which is it's going poof. But I mean, my curiosity with this topic is, in 3.6, the 890 jump is coming. There are no pads big enough for the 890 jump. So one of two things has to happen. They either have to implement one of the mechanics they're talking about, and in 3.6 they are coming out with rest stop exterior variations. Does that mean they'll be
ships?
One with that you can spawn an 890 jump on? Or I know a lot of people have mentioned maybe they'll open up one of the gigantic hangars in Lorville, and that'll be where you grab it. But there's not anything clearly written on the roadmap that says how the hell are you going to pull out the 890 jump.
Sorry, I just have this vision of somebody getting into their 890 jump for the first time. You know, when you take off from Lorville, there's that little man saying, Houston Dynamic, thanks you. In this instance, he's just like, enjoy your 890 jump. Please enjoy getting out of the atmosphere. Because everybody's, like, if that's the case, everybody's first interaction with the 890 jump is like spending half hour just trying to leave Perth.
You'll be glad that it's so comfortable inside there, because you're going to be in there a while.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm sure they'll do it, like you said, Moist. I don't know. we'll wait and see. I don't have a big ship, so I don't really give a fuck.
It's gonna limit us in landing spots.
I just want to know where they are so I can steal them and blow them up.
Not being able to land everywhere and put
They'll
it into a hangar.
Yeah. I
Just like in Elite Dangerous, you can't land on every station out there. If you have a large ship, you have to have a large landing pad.
But that's kind of part of the tactical gameplay that they're really talking about.
Yeah.
Aren't any landing pads that big though?
But that also means they have to implement a new way to get that known. Get to look at the map and see which stations do hold a bigger hangar or a
One of the things
docking station.
One of the things I look
just-
forward to later on when we have multiple systems is, when you are going as a group and you're traveling, working out what ships you can actually take. Because when you realize that your javelin, can't land anywhere or can't be fueled anywhere on this route, then you've got to start thinking, okay, what refueling ships and how many do we need to bring?
You should be, in theory, if you're flying with javelins and stuff, you should be flying with starfarers and a fleet. You shouldn't. This ship sort of thing will be stationary a lot of the time, and then when you get your mates together, you'll be moving in a convoy type of style to a new area to kind of dominate. I can't imagine you'll be flying the javelin around like a hammerhead. You know what I mean? It's just casual.
I think not even just javelin. I think even ships like the Reclaimer and the Hammerhead, if you're trying to go much further out and you've only got these small truck stops that don't have big enough hangars, then that's where you've got to start being smart, right?
I'm
It'd
so
be very
glad I
interesting
only
to
have
see.
small ships.
It was
Yeah,
very
same.
interesting to see,
Same.
like the further out you go, how the makeup of ships around you changes as well.
Well, that's the whole, it comes back to the fuel thing, right? People were mad that they couldn't make the jump to Hurston in one shot in a small ship. And it's like,
Yeah.
I understand that you're frustrated that you can't do everything with every ship, but that parity is vital for the universe to feel alive and like there's places to go and goals to get to and stuff like that. Because,
Okay, so the thing that I don't like, because there's good things and there's bad things, the thing I don't like about this one, and you guys can disagree or not, is the physical inventories. The idea and implementation of localized physical inventory system with persistence and limitations, allowing for a more immersive and realistic experience. Now, I think you can go too far with this type of system, and it becomes insanely annoying, in truth, honestly. Could you imagine right now if this is actually in game with the current game, how that would feel? Could
I'd be fine with it.
Really?
I would actually be fine
I'm
with
looking
it.
forward to it in the sense that I think it adds.
Because at the end of the day, when I do actually get involved in PvP, I don't find myself in that engagement very often having to open my Mobi-Glass, having to open up my personal equipment view and adding more magazines into my loadout. Which is all that, it's like this physicalized, it's you carrying what you can see on your character.
Mm-hmm.
So you won't be able to, for example, harvesting. So let's say, I want to pick up that, want to pick up that over there. You're limited. You've filled up. You've got all your oxygen tanks. You've got all your things. Or whatever.
But you bring your Dragonfly. You bring your Cyclone, and you put boxes in it, whatever.
Okay, but is that stuff in the game yet? Do you know what I mean? That's my thing. It's like that's what they mean. I worry. I just don't. I worry about it like being in very quick with very little other things around it to make it more of a good experience. We talk about quality of life game experience. That's my worry.
I would say theory crafting is a little bit difficult when we don't know, like.
That's what we
do.
Like right now, you can't really put anything. Can you put boxes into Cyclones? Can we even put things in boxes? By this point, I would imagine like that's a part of it. You'd be able to actually have a 1SU.
I mean, the caveat here with all these things is that they're working in working order. I don't think you can. Yeah. I don't think you can really talk about them and in a broken state. Like if the inventory, the physicalized inventories work and the quality of life is there, it's not like you're trying to access it 20 times in a row to get your stuff out of your physicalized inventory. Assuming it works smoothly, by that point.
Like
I do think it adds a tremendous amount of like grounding to the universe. Just like losing guns off my ship when I die feels like there's consequence. You know, being able to have like in my 600i a weapons locker and an armor locker, and to have to like be able to go over there and grab stuff out of it makes me feel more like that is a place that I bring with me as a ship I might live on or be out in for quite a long time, and I can put things in it. Whereas right now, it's just a stage. It's just a sound. You know, it's not a real thing other than the cockpit. The bridge is a real thing. Everything else is just a dressing. Right.
Do you see armor then? For example, like a physicalized inventory is your armor. Obviously, you'll put it in your ship. You'll maybe your ship blows up or you die or whatever. We'll now no longer see your armor that you've bought being a permanent feature to your character. Every time you then die, you'll then no longer have your armor as well. You have to buy your armor every time you die.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. Just because I think that you know the real consequences to you deciding to which ship you choose, which ship you put your stuff in, and what you do with that ship, and all the things that you've invested in it, which includes parts, weapons, whatever inventory you decide to store on it, etc. You know, in some ways it sorts itself out. I mean, what kind of inventory are you going to be able to fit on a Aurora versus on a 300i, or you know, once you get up to a 600i, it's quite tanky. So you probably have a better chance of getting away with all your stuff if people start attacking. Don't go dogfighting with everything you own. You know, like it's about choices, and it's about feeling like you have things in the universe, and you will never feel like you have things in the universe if you can't lose them.
I am going to guarantee that we will see Snake Eater lose his shit when he's engaged at some point, and loses all of his shit.
Yeah, but that would mean
and that's fine. It's fine. I'm just saying we will.
By Snake Eater that he put himself in that position. That's not.
Well, it might not be in that. The thing is, you might not
grief thousands of dollars worth of guns nightly.
Could you see chat? The toxicity on the chat will be like when Moist blows up people. I'm just using examples. Could you imagine the toxicity levels of people like complaining at Jumptown and other things when you blow them up?
It happened. I think it was either yesterday or the day before. A guy was being super salty with me. He said, "Oh, because of you, I've lost everything. I've lost 100,000. I've only got 5,000 left, or whatever it was." So what? Just because you made the active choice to go down there without anybody protecting you, and then you made the active choice to spend all of your money buying something in a well-known PvP area, that's my fault. I really don't think it is. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Well, and like the other day, Devil stole a guy's Starfarer, which had max capacity Widow, and then self-destructed it outside of Armistice.
Oh, and that's beautiful.
You know, maybe that's a little antagonistic, but the game needs bad guys in it for you to feel like it's a real thing.
All bad girls.
But yeah, yeah, right. But the guy was like, "I'm not gonna play. If you do this, I'm gonna not play StarCitizen again until the next patch." That is not the right way to get to Devil's sympathy. You're guaranteeing a loss right there. But at any rate, the point is that I know people don't like to accept this, but like it's the reason why I decided actively not to buy a freelancer max to get omnis off of it for combat. It's actually as sort of conflicted as it may seem at first. It makes you feel like your stuff is more valuable, and I've been experimenting this with this emotionally for the last couple of days. Is when I buy M5s for my Saber, it costs me like 70 grand or something like that, and I don't just want to win at that point because I like killing other ships. I'm also really not wanting to lose my guns, and if that extends to other things, it will add a level of immersion to the game. I mean, it's
yeah. That's the reason why I love full loot PvP games as well. Lose all your shit. It makes you think what you have to do.
Okay.
Never fly
I think we're kind of in
can't
unison.
afford.
I make stupid decisions every day, and I don't blame other people for it. I blame myself.
Yeah,
so it's just
I did it last month. I had my freelancer max full with shit. All my money was in there. Server crash. Lost everything.
Well, that's not really your fault. Yeah,
Well, I knew there was a risk involved.
I suppose.
Could have
Include your
done,
armor,
half of it.
include your weapons, include everything. That's what I'm saying. You throw all of that on top of it. At the moment, it's quite nice when you die not to have to go and spend a lot of money to get your armor again. Like, can you imagine like how that would affect like the games like Zilla plays, for example?
But
You know,
this
people
doesn't
come
have
in
issue,
and
like,
lose all they
if
can.
if that's the case, when we have these physicalized inventories, when I wake up and I log on that day, I'm not going to go, right, I'm gonna need my heavy armor while I'm flying my arrow. I'm going to put my heavy armor into this locker until a time when I'm actually going to be engaging in PvP.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take off my assault weapons, my assault rifles, and put them down. And I'm going to go and do
I get
whatever
it.
like that.
Probably you
get
can't even
to do.
fly
But then-
your ship with heavy armor on.
Are we somebody with chat
Yeah.
can help me. Are you going to be able to access your armor in every single kind of vehicle, for example, like, or is it going to be just in your? So, for example, you put your heavy armor in your
Wear
cutlass.
your armor in every vehicle. It'll be you won't if you want to take out a Gladius, you will only be able to put up to a flight suit size armor
that's
on, and you
That's
can't store other armor on that shit. You know?
But no, but like if, say, for example, what I'm saying is like if you have a cutlass and you put it in your cutlass, it'll only be heavy armor. You'll have to buy heavy armor for your cutlass, heavy armor for your Aurora, heavy armor for your this, heavy armor for, you'll have to have
Seems so.
You
multiple
want one
armor.
every, yeah, you want to set in every ship you own, yeah.
Yeah, okay, and you have all the sets of armor in each one. No, it's
I
fine. I'm
think
just,
I
I'm
do
just
remember
curious.
that.
How do
No,
you
that's
think
the
rich
point. That's the
people do it
point.
in
You
real
will not
life?
have a set of. You won't have
You need a
every
land
part of the
machine
game
for
in
every
every.
garage.
No, look, I'm trying to. I'm playing devil's advocate a little bit.
No,
here,
I know,
okay,
I
so
know.
I'm
But
a little
that's
bit
the-
okay with the percentage of this, but I do worry about the whole, like, for example, like there's scenarios in Eve that I played like with certain ships. They were weaker than all the other ships, so I never flew them because I didn't want it to be blown up. So it literally just became a garage ship. Like I would just look at it and go, "Ooh, pretty," but I'd never want to take it out for fear of it being destroyed. Which then meant that it never really got out into the verse. It never got wherever it was. It never got out into Eve space. It never got to be enjoyed, and that's a little bit of my concern. Is that when something becomes so precious, people will just keep it hidden in a glass cabinet in their ship, and they'll never take it out to lose it.
But then you've got stupid people
It's
like
kinda
me.
sad.
I took out and lost a fully, and this was a long time ago when these things, I don't know if they are still worth a lot of money, but a fully faction fitted Balgorn. It took me like a year to completely build that thing up, and I lost it because of a bad decision.
And did you play Eve after that?
No, and you know I didn't. Then to go back, it wasn't losing
No,
the
I know. You said
Balgorn.
that
You
before,
asked me this. It wasn't losing the Balgorn that stopped me playing E. It's because I'd spent so much time building that up, and I didn't actually enjoy the game anymore. And once I'd lost it, I was like, well, the only thing that was keeping me going was the fact I had such a badass ship and I was doing really well in PvP, and now I don't have it. I don't really feel like building it back up again. So it was more the game rather than...
That's kind of my point, though. That's my only point on that, is that I agree. I don't mind necessarily a part of the physicalized inventory, but I worry that if you get to that harshness where it becomes so severe, I think that you will turn off quite a few people. And not necessarily that might not be a bad thing for the overall, people. I do think hard games are good. Don't get me wrong. I do think that. I think it's hard rather than easy generally is good.
I don't think it is that harsh, though.
I just think that like, you can go
okay,
too
then
far.
do we go right? Okay, so ships up to a certain threshold are immune now to being destroyed.
No.
Like, where do you
No.
draw?
I'm just talking about the about all the other aspects of things like armor or weapons. I don't know the answer. Okay, I'm not. I don't know. I need to think about it more. It's a conversation maybe for more podcasts and stuff and discuss it more. I haven't thought about it a huge amount.
You feel like weapons shouldn't be dropped in combat, like when FPS weapons. You think that rifles should not be lost in combat right now?
I think you might like. What does Tarkov do with you lose your guns? You lose your guns. Is it gone, or do you have like someone insurance broker or someone that you can buy them back?
There's a very small chance. Yeah, the way insurance works in Tarkov is that if somebody else doesn't pick it up and take it out of that raid before it is over, then insurance can get it back for you. But if somebody else does pick it up, then it's gone. So there's like a very, well, it's not very low. It's probably like a 20 or 30% chance that you'll get it back. But it's not guaranteed. That's for sure.
I don't mind that too much if it was that kind of system where, you know, if it hasn't been claimed by somebody, you can get it back. The idea of being able to get something back, that kind of adds a little bit of chance, and I wouldn't mind that type of a thing. That would be kind of cool, you know.
I was going to mention an interesting thing is once things start dropping out of ships when they blow up and you can like salvage and all that stuff. I was going to say like, okay, if once you get killed, your stuff is out there in the wind, and whoever killed you is either going to leave and leave all that stuff there for you to either come back and try to scoop up or salvage a percentage of it back, or they're going to scoop it up. It's going to take them time. You can try to get back to try to take it back and fight them, and it'll give another sort of this rivalry situation where you're like, okay, I got to go find this person who took my stuff because A, I want my stuff back, B, I want revenge. But if it was persistent, if all that stuff was persistent and was like recoverable, that would add, I think, another level of depth to the game.
And something to bear in mind is a lot of these things are there to be money sinks. Because one of the problems I think that Eve really has is the fact that there isn't really enough to spend your money on. There are people who just sit there making money, scooping up more money.
Yeah, I mean, I think
and in Star Citizen, like, really, they need to do what they can to try and get that money out of people's wallets.
Well, you just described, you know, sort of I bought a Caterpillar, and with the express intent of trying to up the risk level of making money in the game. And it did. I've lost like 400,000 UEC in a shot before. It hurt a bit, but the truth is the pursuit of just trying to amass wealth for no reason has gotten watered down. I mean, I'm just like, all I see when I make money now is how much time I have to spend in a terminal to sell all the Widow. Whereas on the reverse end of it, now that I have to buy M5As for my Sabres on a routine basis, I know I've got to keep an economy going. I know I've got to have, you know, a couple $100,000 to spend every time I go out flying every night. And if I'm going to have that kind of money, I know I've got to, every time I get down to below 1 million UEC, I've got to start making big Widow runs because I don't want to start over from 100,000. I want to make sure I invest, but that in itself is risky too. I could lose my nest egg on that Widow run. It's happened before. So that loop, all those different things the risks I'm taking with all of those things are adding interest to me in the game. If none of that stuff was necessary, if all that stuff was like permanently part of my inventory and I didn't have to worry about any of that, then it would just be sort of lukewarm, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where's the storyline?
Yeah.
Well, I know that they're obviously adding the ability to store weapons in your spaceships now, aren't they? So that's going to be interesting. Like on some of the fighters is what I mean. So you'll be able to put them in like cubby holes. So that's going to be interesting as well.
Put my guns in your cubby hole, don't you worry.
No worries. Breaking in. I wonder if hopefully we'll be able to do the break-in mechanics at some point. So you'll be able to break into people's ships and maybe rather than, you know, you'll be able to steal their guns out of their ships and stuff rather than just the ship.
They need
Backpacks. They do need some backpacks. I've said this before on the stream and on the podcast. Lots of times I've shown pictures of Death Stranding and with the carrying and stuff. I do think backpacks will be a thing with the exploration aspect of the game. Like Moist said with the Dragonfly and stuff, they need to create that gameplay mechanics of gathering stuff and carrying stuff.
Now you can add
inventory.
Attachments, whatever it is, to helmets, right? So I imagine it will just be an attachment for chest pieces. I would imagine having backpacks
on your back, I guess so, with points. Like it must be. It'd be cool though. It actually got me thinking about a company that I've been meaning to start for a few years.
It would be. I mean, like in Escape from Tarkov, another example is if you see somebody with a big old backpack on, you're like, oh, that guy's got stuff in there.
Yeah. You just watch him running away. He'd be like,
yeah, you're like, oh, we got to go get that guy. He just got the last 20 minutes filling it up with food. You need to go get that.
It would literally be everyone would be just sat there. You just imagine just like rocking up like all casual. It's like 6 guys all standing at the location like running away. Run away, run away. Okay, so we move on. I mean, there's a few other things, but we'll move on. We move on to 3.8. This is where we get microtech. We get the microtech planet. We'll get the microtech, obviously, moons. We'll get microtech clothing. Microtech is a big thing in 3.8. We'll get refinery space station. So this is interesting. So these facilities refine ore into usable materials for industry, trade, and crafting. So I'm hoping this will go hand in hand with more improvements to mining. So maybe we'll get more, be able to take your prospector stuff to the refinery, unload it, and then you'll be able to get purer ore and more for the economy improvements that they bring along as well. So you get more money, which would be great, making mining really profitable again. And then we spoke about it previously, I think, Snake, as well, on conversations about locations for mining. If you can make NPCs or humans as well to have locations for mining, then you can increase the combat levels, because obviously that's making lots of money. That's where people will go, and then they'll need protection and then combat, and it'll be really interesting to see that emergent gameplay evolve. At the moment, it's all a little bit it's sporadic, and it is what it is.
I think one of the things we talked about was it would be cool if they have to be careful, because if they implement too many watering holes, then it's going to still be really hard to find good conflict. But they could there's probably room in the game now to add a mining watering hole, and so there's a spot where miners can go, but because of the take, they really have to up the amount of money you can make mining, make it easier to find those pay dirt rocks, but. If they did put that in there, then people would have to be like, oh, I want to go mine. It would be a little different than Widow, really, because some ships you can fight and get Widow in, but it's not like that with mining. So it would be a much more multiplayer experience. Be like, hey, I want to go mine, but I can't without some kind of protection, and just to get a different flavor of it. But yeah, I'm worried about microtech, because I love that they're implementing. I love Loreville. I love the feeling of Hurston and all that. Having all that in the universe feels really good, but I'm a little worried about it spreading things so thin that, it'll be like another Loreville. It'll be I go there when I want color in my life, but other than that, there's no reason to go there.
I feel the same way. And it's something that I've been saying for a while, that more of these locations that we add while we only have 50 players on the server, the more spread out everybody will be. And yeah, people do spread out. But to be fair, Jumptown has shown that even while we have Hurston, and there are missions and things to do at Hurston, there are still a lot of people heading to Jumptown. And, even now, the state of the game right now isn't great at all. But there are still people playing, and there are still people going to Jumptown. And something I'll be very interested to see is we've got the dynamic mission system coming in 3.8. And I'm kind of hoping that CIG have been savvy enough to have Jumptown rotate. So rather than having multiple Jumptowns, Jumptown moves to a different location. So essentially you can actually, and the example that I give on stream every now and again is, we have Wallace Klim, and he offers out an exploration mission. And if you're interested in exploration, you can go and get it from him. And he says, look, there's this 100 square kilometer area. I want you to go here. I know that in this area somewhere, there is an abandoned outpost. You go there, you scan it down, you send him the details, mission complete. That then becomes Jumptown. But then from that, Wallace Klim starts sending people on drug dealing missions there. But then on top of that, you have, what's his name? Bald dude. Ruto, not Ruto, the other one. Can't remember his name. Anyway, he starts sending people doing bounty hunting missions there, so while they're adding another planet and more moons, I just hope they're being smart with this dynamic mission system.
I think you're 100% right, Noodle. Yeah
Miles Eckhart, thank you.
It couldn't be easier. It could not be easier for them to increase the value that Jumptown has brought to the game and kept people engaged is immeasurable. And so if you rotated Jumptown purely, even if you didn't have any new quest mechanics or any of that stuff, if you just rotated it to a different location, a different moon every month, or hopefully less, but even if you didn't want to do it very often, just every month, could you imagine doing Jumptown on Daymar and then Jumptown on a Hercules moon? And part of the fun of getting to Jumptown is spending a couple weeks learning how the hell to get to it in the first place, and then fighting over it with a new backdrop. It would give people reasons to go to these different moons. It would create more color to that exact same game loop. It doesn't change at all. You just lift it up, put the code on another moon, and you're done. And it would give players such a more rich experience with it.
You can talk now, Madness. It's okay.
That's all right. I'll just wake in. I'm just letting you guys do your thing. No, that's we don't want to no talking over people as much as possible. Let everyone get their point across. So yeah, I agree. To be fair, I'll if I disagree, I'll disagree. But like, it all makes complete logical sense. I definitely agree. We need to funnel more people into areas. If they're going to make it, keep it at 50. They need to make it so that to keep the combat and stuff going. And then to increase the NPC combat. Yeah, but we're also going to get something really interesting. Because we're going to get the and I think Buck, you wanted to talk about this as well, about they talk about creating ace level flight behavior AI.
Yes,
which is really interesting, because the current flight stuff. Now let me just, because I think you had to is this on your soapbox section, or is it somewhere else, or is it something else?
No, it's the ATV section where I did the
ATV section.
GIFs. Yeah.
What
they showed off, is it
here.
me or
Okay.
I wasn't impressed with the AI flight style.
Okay, I got it here.
Looked so slow and simple. And
now they did actually answer this. I actually picked out. They talked about this flight model, and they said that this is the very basic tier stuff.
yeah, I know, but even for basic tier 1, it's like my first spaceship or whatever.
I think it kind of needs to be, because there's a few people that I've spoken to
IFCS system
who
switched from
haven't
1.0 to
they're older and they haven't played games in years. They're coming back to gaming because of StarCitizen. So I think to have my little spaceship isn't actually a bad idea.
Now, okay. When I was dogfighting, that was primarily in 263. And that was just training, and I still sucked nonetheless. Doesn't really matter. But there was strafing up and down and decoupled flight and all that kind of things. But we have to see, and I still don't have a feeling for the new flight model because I haven't touched it. Didn't went to CitizenCon or whatever. I can't imagine how it will work out. If I look at this, I'm like, oh, this is not what I want.
Well, yeah, this whole, I've spoke about this before, and if anyone wants to check it out, I need to put a link permanently in YouTube to give you why I think it's again going down the cinematic road. Do you know what's interesting, Buck, about this is if you notice, remember they talked about the gimbals. They're creating the gimbals, the auto gimbals. You notice how this has got gimbals and the pips are still separated.
Yeah.
Like, I was always under the impression that the whole point of these automated gimbals, I mean, I'm guessing they haven't implemented it yet, because it would be then making this a single pip.
Yeah, but is the example that they're showing, is that tech enabled for this?
That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. I don't think it is. I don't think it is. But that's what that tech is going to do in theory. It will make this just a single pip rather than these two pips.
Let me be honest. On the other hand, this is
easy.
AI stuff.
Yes.
Not real player flight, so
yeah,
it can be a lot different with real players, of course, and I hope it will be more nimble then, because even with the fighter they show off, it's not nimble. It doesn't look nimble.
It looks like Han Solo performing, "Hey kids, hang on, I'm going to perform a maneuver," and it's
So
I got some moves, kid.
Ace Pilots in 3.8, somewhere earlier on in the roadmap, there is actual proper AI pilots, period, right? So assuming that they make proper base level AI, then I guess it's just, I mean, it's like in FPS, right? You like dial in their aim, you make them a little bit more evasive. I feel like there should be pretty dialable settings where they either have a harder time hitting you or don't have a hard time. They are a little squirrelier or they're less squirrely. You know, I don't know. It seems like...
It'll definitely play into what you were saying earlier as well, Snake, about the, excuse me, the tiering system. You know, the higher your bounty, the harder and the more, you know, you get the elite AI comes after you rather than the tier 1. You know, when you've got 1 red bar, maybe you'll get 1, or maybe if you got 3 bars, you'll get the 3, you know, you'll get the basic tier AIs. Then when you get 4, you'll get the next tier up, and then when you get to the top one flashing red, that's when you get the elite pilots will come and take you off. Like, but then you'll also maybe get random as well, so maybe it'll be a random experience rather than always that. But we'll see. I guess this is all created for Squadron42 in truth.
Well, exactly, but how are they going to do this in Squadron42? Will it have difficulty levels? Can you play the game on hard, and in which tier fighting module are you then?
Yeah, probably. Hopefully you won't get the F8 lightning if you complete it on easy mode. That's all I'm saying. Hopefully they don't do that. That would be horrendous. Hopefully you have to complete it on like hard or extreme to get access to an F8 lightning.
And I hope it's hard and not like this, because this is a breeze.
Hopefully, we'll see. But I've said before, I have big concerns about the jousting mechanics and the flight model becoming a focus on aesthetics from film rather than the 6 degrees of movement. In fact, actually, we had this conversation in my Discord today, and I brought up, like, we were talking about the Gs, and it was a really interesting Fenrir, Virtual Captain, and a few other guys and Evadius were all talking about the full implementation of the flight model and stuff. And I was saying, because we're talking about Gs and 6 degrees of movement, and for me, one of the kind of like, I really want... I'm just going to pause it here. I really want this from the Expanse, because we talk about the reality of the Expanse and G forces and stuff, and people talk about 6 degrees and G forces. I'm like, well, fine. Well, here is your answer, which is from the Expanse. Wait for it. Which is this bad boy. When they turn the big ship. Here comes the juice. Here comes the juice. And you get pumped. I got so pumped when this shit goes on. I get super pumped and excited. Super excited. And you just like jacked up like crazy. I love it so much. And then they have the other one where if you do too much, obviously you get a warning to say now it becomes toxic. I would love that in the game. If they're going to make it so the flight model is pretty standard like this, then make a mechanic in there where we can dial up to the 6 degrees, so we actually juice the character, so we create more Gs, we make it much more intense and make, you know, so we can get to that level of insane movement. I really want crazy movements in the games, but I want it to be limited for a limited time, and I'd love it to have health implementation.
Sperm. Come on. Not my thing.
No, if
you change your mind, let me know.
So I love the Expanse. I don't like the Expanse is real. So like, you know, combat in that situation is once a torpedo's locked in within a certain range, you're kind of fucked. I don't want that in game, but there's something kind of there's something super exciting about that mechanic of like juicing your character and like now it's on, baby. Now it's on. I love that. Really excited. Anyway,
as you could see, they couldn't move.
No.
So basically, you're fucked. You're like, you can't move your stick.
But how cool would that be? Like in some of the big ships, you know, you can kind of you get VoIP going, and you say, "Everybody, Greg, you know, we're going to pull a maneuver," and like everyone suddenly like has to get in their chair within the next 5 seconds because there's like combats going on. Or like sit down. Yeah. Oh, you're. Yeah, exactly. How cool is that? I mean, I like the idea of it.
I think they first have to get people to be required to even sit in a chair. Like once, if you're maneuvering and have to sit in a chair, that's like step one. Like there's all these jump seats and all these ships and stuff like that. If you start maneuvering and you're not in a jump seat and then you die, break your neck on the ceiling, that would be step one of that whole thing. But yeah. I think it is a cool concept. I do. Or even just G suits. You know, G suits is a thing in real life. surely it's a thing in space dogfighting.
Yeah, we got the G suits. I think they have them kind of, I think, at the moment, and you know, it's I agree. Like G suits would be fine, but like I say, if you wanted to take it to that next level place, it would be kind of cool to have. Like they talked about, like giving us, obviously we've got food and nourishment and stuff. Like I'm like, why not have like the narcotics to give you that boost to be able to do maneuver? Like I say, just like if they don't want it to the maneuvering in the game, then maybe make it, like I said, I've said enough. Like just I want the maneuvering in space. I don't want it to be like airplanes in space. I don't mind on
Madness. All I'm hearing is Madness trying to justify injecting himself with widow. let me tell you, small Noodle's gonna come for you.
Hell yeah! Okay, dude, we'll make that happen. That's fine. So yeah, like Bok, I'm with you, buddy, on that one. I'm definitely with you. I'm worried, but we'll see. Flight model's coming, and then we'll be able to have a really good deep dive into it. I think on here, and we'll dive into it with lots of different people, and we'll talk about it.
See how it will
we can finally see it.
With real people.
Yeah, I can't wait to really dive into it, and it's gonna. I'm gonna try and stay positive, obviously. But I'm sure my emotional response, if it's garbage, will be very raw and cut to the point.
But so for comment then.
I think the challenge is always going to be like you don't really you should not put yourself through an emotional response until you've spent some solid time with it, because anything that's new and different is going to be painful, because you've already trained yourself in muscle memory to be good at something.
Yeah,
and then when that changes, you can't give it a real fair shake until you've really gotten comfortable with it. So.
That's also the fun part now. Everybody's going to reset to 0 and relearn the flight model.
I think the example for me was between 2.5 and when we got to my famous, everyone said, I say on every podcast, 2.6.3. There was 2.6 between that, which could be what this is the equivalent of. Because I actually, at that point, I didn't like the flight model and I didn't play it very much. But then when 2.6.3 came in, I think I had enough breathing space that then I kind of then got into the new one and gave it a go and practiced it and learned it and got into it. So maybe that will be the case with this one. Maybe the first iteration of the flight model I might not like. I'll kind of go with it for a little bit, but not really dive into it until the next, the next tuning, as it were. But we'll see. We will see. We have the design and creation and implementation of Frozen Planet Microtech. So I'm guessing we're going to get snow, right? Or are we just going to get blocks of ice?
Look like blocks of ice or icicles.
I hope not. I'd like to see proper snow, like I've seen in Red Dead Redemption 2, and it's freaking awesome when you're wading through snow. It's so cool. So cool.
I don't see
that.
I don't see that part of it. But
yeah, like snow-top Alps, get the old climbing gear out and start climbing, kind of the wind whistling.
Can go skiing. That would be great.
Well, you could try to get to the ski slope anyway.
Do you think it'll be another kind of you can't land on the planet type of thing, a bit like the whole planet? What's the one which is the whole planet's city that we can't go anywhere other than there's only particular places. ArcCorp, yeah. So we can only go to particular places. Do you think it'll be the same like this? It'll be all freezing cold, and we can just go to the main microtech section, and everywhere else you can't really go anywhere.
Stupid.
You can't get out your ship. It's freezing cold or something, or you die in seconds, or I don't know. I don't know. We'll see.
Too far off.
Yeah, it's because they said here it's called the new Babaga. How do you say that? Babaga landing zone.
Yeah,
Version 1.
Babaja
is enclosed to protect its inhabitants against the elements. So it's a major social and economic trading hub, despite highlighting Microtech's flagship store. The landing zone is a haven for other smaller tech companies, and this initial implementation may contain traversable districts. So again, I guess it literally will be another Lawville and Lexki, I guess. We've got the moons. This is interesting. This is kind of cool. Like they've got the 0G push and pull animations coming in. They've got the mag boots. We all know they're not, or the thrusters, whatever you want to call them, jet thrusters. This will come in. Kind of, how cool is that going to be when you're going to be able to like pull yourself on the outside of spaceships and stuff, like in the trailer when they showed? We're all going to be doing that, I'm sure. Just like flying along. It's going to be great. I can't wait to do that.
Grab the outside of a ship and it can start going to quantum, and you just be like, ah.
You inject the white stuff.
No one's going to die, are they? No one's going to die. It's just going to be loads of people hanging. How many people can hang on to the side of a spaceship and go through quantum? How many people can hang on to an Aurora and go through quantum, like hanging onto each other's legs, like a chain, like a monkey chain, all gripped onto each other? Oh no, it's going to be brilliant. That's going to be brilliant. I can't wait to see that. We've got. What have we got? We've got loads of other things. We've got seated item handling. So this feature with the ability for the NPCs to use smaller weapons while seated in a passenger seat and a vehicle. Now, we've talked about this on the podcast lots of times. I'm so happy about this. Finally, you're going to be able to sit in the seat of your Cyclone and your mate's going to be able to shoot people with it. That's fantastic. Finally. That is so good. Again, please, can you add to that animation to flip over vehicle? Then we'll be very, very happy. That'll be a really good one to add in. Then we've got security control systems, salvage version 1, designing and implementation mechanics required for players. Now, this is right at the end of the year. This is quite a shift back on the old salvage. I'm guessing, like we said, it must be Sqaudron42 related, because it was like only around the corner, and then now it's just gone way back to the end of the year, that's a substantial drop back. There must be a reason for that besides Sqaudron42. Maybe it's just not good. Because how could it be so close to
the
shift of resources
internally, and they weren't happy with it, and whoever was working on it now has other stuff to work on, so they come back to it later. You know.
Yeah.
Cool.
Vehicle HUD version 4.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Is it only land vehicles or also spaceships?
I don't know.
Could we finally get a normal, readable font in great colors?
But it's not even that. Look at that. I know that's a Photoshop picture on there, right? But there are 3 different colors. There's bluey green, there's yellow, and there's red.
That was something that they said they'd fixed, and then they made the screens tilt away, which always makes me laugh. They're like, we're going to make the HUDs so that better writing so you can read them, and then they tilted them away in the Gladius. I was just like, what are they doing? It's just so funny.
Yeah.
It's just like
I'm telling you, I should pull up the video I was watching again. It was incredible. You could pull up you could pin targets, and the list of those targets would be like in 3D on your cockpit, and then you'd have like these different circles, and there was like these slick little lines with numbers along the top and along the bottom and stuff. It was beautiful. I was like, wow,
the Gladius
I think that's
interior was great.
Thing. I love the fact that CIG will go back and double or triple tap in some cases something that's not quite right. A lot of developers will be like, no, we got to drive on, and then we'll come back around if we ever have time for it. Yeah. But on the flip side, why don't they run with stuff that works? You know what I mean? Like if it seemed to be, there must be some back end reason. I'm sure. I don't know the whole certainty, but I don't know. It just seemed like it was a good iteration. And
just totally like the Mobiclass versions they showed off 2-3 years ago, with all the fine colors, and you could make up your own colors with sliders and stuff, and it looked beautiful. Never seen it anymore. It's not there.
Okay, so now we move on. Oh my god, time's going. So much stuff to talk about. Okay, so we're not going to get through all of this, I think, tonight. We're not going to get through all this. So what we'll do is we've got. I'll just very, 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 very fast touch a few things, and we'll come back to this stuff, I think, probably next week. But we're obviously going to get the Anvil Carrick at the end of the year. We're going to get the Cutlass Blue rework. We'll get the Prowler, which is pretty cool to see that. Some nice new ships this year. We're obviously going to get the like I said, the Vanguard and the Defender, and there's a few cool new ships coming out this year, which is pretty awesome. What's fascinating with the Sqaudron42, which is there's loads of Vandal ships that seem to be heavily done. For example, the Kingship. I was amazed at how much of the Kingship has done. 25 of 38. The Vandal Stinger is 30 of 37. The Vandal Hunter is 30 of 34. The Idris is 40 of 52. The Javelin is 42 of 62. The Bengal is nowhere near started, though. That's 9 of 30. Like the Vandal Driller is 28 of 33. I was like, holy hell, they've done the Vandal ships are looking like they're almost all done. So I'm like, that is. And then I think the Lancer as well, the Vandal cleaving boarding ship and stuff. Like basically, Like,
Do you think though that the standards are different for Squadron42? Like when they say a finished ship for Squadron42, you're going to go into 4 rooms on the Javelin as the player. Then it's done. But as a PU ship, you need to go in every room. And same thing with like the Vandal ships. You're not going inside them. So does for Squadron42, does it finished mean like for animation it's there, or do you think it means okay, you could slide that over the PU and it's pretty much done too?
I personally think that human ships, they will do the best they can to. I think they'll be what they consider to be the finished ship at the time, right? But I think not necessarily for the alien ships. Like I wouldn't necessarily expect all the alien ships to have internals, because chances are we're probably not going to be able to get inside them, right? And for Chapter 1, Chapter 1 isn't about us fighting the Vandal, right? Chapter 1 is about us fighting other humans. So...
then why is it on the roadmap? Why are they spending any time?
I'm just going off what they've said. That Chapter 1 is about the story of us fighting other humans rather than Vandal, so...
Yeah. Who knows?
Maybe we
they gotta know. They gotta know.
Chapter 1, I don't know.
Cool. Okay. And there's loads of cool stuff in Squadron42 and stuff which we can go through. There was a load of other content that we had, but we just ran out of time, guys, for this evening. What I will do is we'll do a quick one with soapbox for everybody that here, because you guys did do the effort to give us the content, so everyone gets I'm not going to do mine, so I'll just let the guests do theirs. So I'll let Snake Eater start. So this was one of the things that you kind of wanted to talk about, which was I suppose the development of Squadron42 parallels the PU more than I was hoping it did. Would you like to expand on exactly what you mean?
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I was excited about the Squadron42 roadmap at first, and I think you spoke about it a little bit, Madness, that maybe it was the last episode, but you didn't really want the Squadron42 roadmap because it sort of, you now see behind the curtain that maybe I guess the point is I thought that Squadron42 being the primary effort, the spearhead of this whole launch, was well and away ahead of the PU, and the PU, for lack of a better term, just got scraps from Squadron42. But looking at the roadmap, it looks like there's...
I saw that one coming.
I get Chewie to bark
the dogs don't care. They're like, no. It's all good, man.
It's really it's very, very close. Like the things they're working on for PU they're working on at the same time for Squadron42, which makes me feel like, I don't know. I feel like they're maybe a little less likely to hit the 24-month mark on Squadron42, much less the PU. But it's if they start knocking out completion standards this year, like they were saying on the video, then maybe we could see some really phenomenal polish this year. Because they're like these things need to get shored up at a AAA level, and it sounds like they know that. So if they know that, then let them work, I guess. But
okay. Yeah, I'm kind of like, I didn't want, like I said the other, I didn't want to be actually told about the Squadron42 roadmap. I was quite happy not to know. I think that they didn't. I think they made a boo boo, in my opinion, of actually saying that Chris and whatever to actually allow the roadmap to be given to people. I think the minute that is, everyone latches onto it and says they must do it, and then they obviously had to. But I wish they had never done it. I think they should have kept it all behind the closed curtains, and then we could have speculated and then enjoyed it when it finally came out completely without any information. That's just my view on it. I know people would argue and say, well, they said open development and blah blah blah, and I'm like, well, I'm happy with open development for the persistent universe. I don't necessarily, I want the surprise. Like I watch streamers who play games, single player games, and I watch them for 10 minutes because I want to play that game. I just want to know if it's good or not, and then I'm done, and then I'll go and play it myself. I don't want to be spoiled by watching them unless I've played it before, like say I've played The Witcher, completed it, and then I'll watch people because then I've played it. It's not a big deal. But if I've never played it, then I don't want this. I like you know, I don't want to be spoiled. Anyone else?
Man, I had a whole load of things, but we kind of covered them, really.
You had concerns.
Thing,
yeah, go for it.
The one thing that we haven't touched on at all in this podcast is the customization that's coming to 300i with 3.5. Yes. So this is something that Turbulent are actually working on. So when you purchase a 300i, I'm assuming it's on purchase rather than being able to go into the website and change it afterwards. You'll be able to customize the ship. But it was actually, I'm always a little bit nervous when I say his name because people react to his name in different ways. But Heavy Bob pointed out that this is potentially something that CIG can pay for, and I feel a bit weird about it. So I've always said I don't necessarily have a problem with CIG charging for cosmetic stuff. However, if they were to, I don't know how I would feel if they were to charge on this first implementation of customization for the 300i. And I think I feel a bit weird because you're not going to be able to customize your ship in the game at the same time, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It just makes me feel strange. I think I would feel more comfortable if they were planning to charge, they held off until we were able to do it in game as well.
What's the degree of customization we're talking about, most?
We don't know. All they've said is customization. So I would imagine bare minimum changing color.
Yeah, for me, no, it should be free.
I mean, I guess the question is, it's weird because that position, I'm not sure how I feel about it either, but that position is sort of contrary to what the game industry has arrived at, which is paying to buy something that's quote unquote better or has more capability is pay to win. Yep. Paying for cosmetics, that's fine. You don't have to do it. You can still get the same gameplay experience out of it. You just don't feel like your avatar is as badass as the next guy's avatar. But now we're saying it's fine to and believe me, I'm towing the same line as everybody else here. But for devil's advocate, it's fine to buy a better ship for more money. If you have more hundreds of dollars, you can buy a better fighter, but not okay for them to charge for a customization, especially if we're just talking about visual. If we're talking about like base loadout, which is another conversation we had, it's like I want to buy a 325 and I don't want it with a size 3 and 2 size 2s. I want it to start off with a size 4 and 2 size 3s. I'll pay an extra $40 for that. Is that okay or is that not okay?
My question to you is like, it comes back to the whole, because then what you're technically doing is you're buying, like they used to have the thing called the Voyager Direct store on the webpage where you're particularly buying the weapons, because we're getting to a situation. So whereas before you're buying the ship with a standard loadout, you're now effectively saying, okay, I'm buying the ship flat and I'm also buying then the weapons like I did in the Voyager Direct to then create the ship the way I want it all the time. So like currently now, I have to keep swapping out all the weapons, whereas now in theory I could buy my anvil arrow and I don't buy it with the gimbals. I just buy it with the the Omniskies, 3 Omniskies on it, boom. So every time, and then I spawn my arrow, it comes in every time with 3 Omniskies, and I don't have to go through the whole issue with that. I think it's a very slippery slope, and it's a very dangerous one. I think if we're just talking about pure color, like I said, when I played Anthem, they had the ability to change all the color of your suits, your Titan suits and stuff, and it was glorious. Now I don't know what that's going to be when the game is fully released, if that's going to be the same case, but for me personally, I love the fact that you can change the colors at a basic level with a good selection of colors to choose. Now when you're using decals and you're doing like full sets of suits in different ways and customization in that sense, like some of the guns, I think in Apex you have like a kind of a lady on the bottom of it with her boobs or whatever you can hold, or you've got like fire dragons and all sorts of kind of interesting kind of designs and stuff on the guns, but you have to pay coin, the currency, the coin to buy them. But I don't know if you can change the color in Apex. I haven't checked to see that of the guns, or you have to earn them. Like in Destiny, you had to earn emblems to change the color of things, and it sucked ass. I hated it because then you have to collect a number of emblems, which took up your inventory slot, and it was a nightmare. Basic colors should be free, in my opinion. If you just want to do basic colors, should be free. And I don't think you should have to pay anything extra for it. Other things, fancier things, then maybe. Guns and weapons, I don't think we should be buying them at the moment.
But aren't we already? I mean, isn't it?
I know we are. I know we are.
$140 freelancer max for the Omnis guys. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
And can't you tow the same banner over buying a stock loadout saying it's all about backing a project, man? It's just all about
well, that's what they say. That's what they say, isn't it? And I think it's, like I said, it's a slippery slope. And I just think that there should be. I honestly think colors. You shouldn't be paying for colors. I just don't understand why you have to pay. That's so. Yeah.
Especially if it's really basic ass colors. Like if it's a really incredibly cool looking skin, like the Advocate's skin for Mercury. That is nasty. I'm not gonna lie. I will pay money for that shit. But
it's
like, oh, you get a bluish version, which really is purple, just like the RSI suits are supposed to be blue and red, and they're really like salmon and purple. Yeah, that's not acceptable to pay. I wouldn't pay money for that. Not at all.
Honestly, I use the Anthem. Anthem did such a good job, in my opinion, because they also have the materials as well. You know, you can change the material types to rubber, to metals, to brush metals, to dead metal, you know, all of that stuff. Yeah, plastic, exactly. You know, and all the finishes. And then a huge select array of the basic kind of, you know, RGB rainbow of color. I mean, that was in the game, you know, and for me, it's like, one, I think that should just be in the game with the DNA creator and all the rest. I think that should just be in the game. But if they want to make it part of Spectrum, then fine. I don't know, dude. Like, again, I think CIG really shot. I know why they did it. They're buying games, buying ships and stuff. It funds the game and the development, blah 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 blah. Yeah. But it's a tricky.
I'm hoping that when they launch it, it is free. I
hope so.
It is a slippery slope.
I think it's all about whether it's worth it. It's all about value. If it is an incredibly nasty couple of variants that you can do, and you can make them like look amazing, and that, because that's what you're getting, something that embodies you, right? And so if you can project that, and you want to be like that badass out there, and you want to feel like you want people to know you are a badass in the universe, that's why you pay the money. But if it's like
advocacy skins, give them to me, CIG, please.
Yeah. But if it's like, oh, you can look like more red. It's still like a metallic color, but it's just more red than the standard. Like the piracy skins, I'll be honest, the pirate stuff, which is like gray and a couple of red panels, that shit, they've mailed that shit in, man. That does not look very cool in my opinion at all. It looks like NPC like fodder. Like, oh, how do you know you're supposed to kill these guys? Because they're fucking red and gray. That's how.
Red and black with a terrible pixelated skull. That's kind of the most unbelievable low pixelation. It's incredible.
Yeah, I guess it's about quality. If you get what you pay for, then I'm cool. If it's super basic, it's some money crap. It's kind of what it comes down to, I guess.
Yeah. Cool. I think we're kind of all probably on the same one with that one. We'll wait and see. I think, like anything, we'll wait and see where that goes. It's going to be, I think it'll be controversial if they charge. I think it will be a good move from CIGs to do it for free, in truth, if they do basic colours. It'll be a good one. I think it'll be a good PR exercise for them. Will they do it?
Did we come to a consensus about components, though?
What do you mean? What, in terms of buying the components?
Like if you wanted your stock loadout to be different from every time you claim a ship, like
I think that needs to be in game. I think they should be in game. I don't think we should. I think loadout should be standard, and it should be crap for all the ships.
Honestly, I think they'd be shooting themselves in the foot. I don't see themselves doing it, because then they'll lose all the customers that buy Freelancer Maxes just for the Omni Skies, you know. But
I'm not like, in terms of like, I look at money and then I look at kind of like how I would like them to do it, you know. I hear what you're saying, and you know, the reality is the stock loadouts for certain ships will be better. Like, I think that's the reality of what they've shown already. You know, the stock loadouts on like the 300 series, you know, gives you better guns, and also it's the meta's constantly changing as well, you know. again, it comes back to that whole gameplay of respawning and insurance. I mean, it comes back to that whole, if they can bring insurance into the game where you can insure the component parts on the game, then that changes things again, you know, because then you can, in theory,
which they said they are doing, right?
Yeah, you can insure the guns, which then means you claim the ship, you claim your guns back again. I hope they can create it so you can just create default loadouts, you know, you can buy your default in the game.
I agree, yeah. I mean, I hate to say it, but at the state of the UI and all that stuff,
yeah,
it is literally worth real money for me to spend less time swapping parts out. But
yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. I would, you know, the same thing. If I could switch out my arrow and pay £10 or whatever, or, you know, £5 or £10, whatever, to switch out, so I'd have permanently on exactly the loadout that I like for it. You know, people would do it. It's like this is the equivalent of doing a subscription, like for the month. Do you know what I mean? It makes my life easier. People would do it. You know, financially, CIG, this would make you money, no question, especially with all the combat pilots. Yeah. Do I like it?
Your bad user experience to make money, but
yeah,
it'd be real.
And if they don't know it already, then they're crazy. They definitely know. People have been buying, combat pilots have been buying a shit ton of freelancer maxes and 300s for a while now. Oh my god, we've sold
freelancer max. People buying it for cargo.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, don't get me wrong, it is good to have a cargo runs, but yeah, I don't really like playing Terminal Citizen with it, that's for sure. That's boring as hell. Right, thank you. We've just run over about 10 minutes, so thank you everybody for joining us this evening. That's the end of the podcast. Appreciate all the questions. If we didn't get to any of your questions, I will be going through the podcast and picking up any questions. Tonight it's just been very heavy on content. We barely got through any of the, I mean, I did an absolute ton of stuff as well on top of this, which we haven't got through, so we will have lots of stuff to deal with next week, which will be great, on top of the new stuff that comes out as well from ATV. So I think Bok did a huge amount of RTV stuff, which we haven't got to, sadly, but we'll get to.
Not really huge, only the interview, which was quite nice.
Okay, well, we can do that next. We can do it. We'll do it. There's always times in StarCitizen where things get a bit quiet and stuff, so we can cover it later, or sure, we can do a private video and stick it up on the podcast, which would be fine to do too. It's just we have to, you know, time unfortunately runs out. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Thank you, Snake Eater, and our guest Moist Noodle. Really appreciate you taking your time to join us. I mean, we can let me do some shout-outs for these guys. Let me do it now. If anyone knows how to do it, they can do it. If they're a mod, otherwise I'll do it.
Don't worry, Madness, we're just waiting on you. Do you not have this on a button on your stream deck, Madness?
No, not for everybody.
You actually have a stream deck.
He has a stream deck.
I do,
really?
I do. Yeah, I do, but I have to switch it off because of the CPU usage. It's just I'm at that point on my computer, bless it. We're buying a new computer this year, guys. It's happening.
What kind of phone do you have, Madness? What kind of cell phone do you have?
I have a Samsung S9 Plus.
Hey, you know, you can use that as a computer now. There's a thing called Samsung DeX, and you can literally plug it into a keyboard, and
I will try. I was got on my sorry, we're talking about this, but on my Amazon to buy is a Logitech one where you can plug in the phone into the keyboard. So it's on my list of things to buy at some point. There's a lot of things on that list. It's a huge list. It's all got better. Wife no next to all of them. So yeah, go give these guys a follows. Snake Eater streams all the time. He's a great content creator. Moist Noodle is a fantastic content creator. I love hanging out with both of them, shooting them, flying with them, killing other people. They're great. Bok, I love flying with as well, and doing other crazy things like racing and stuff. He's a great content creator as well. And
called that racing.
Well, we tried to do racing, didn't we?
Did you see the video that I sent you earlier that I found on YouTube earlier?
Which one was that one?
Yes, I sent it to you. I just searched YouTube for Moist Noodle, and the first thing up was somebody who was trying to kill me a few days ago. And it's fantastic because it's me being swarmed by this group of people, none of them able to hit me. You just see a couple of explosions, and from the guy's point of view, just madness comes into his view, and then he tries to look like madness for about 2 minutes and then just dies.
Oh, cool. I haven't. I will have to check it out again. But now, most videos that I find with me usually are involve people killing me. That's usually the kind of claim they're happy to kill me. Like, I killed Madness in a dogfight 1v1. Madness in a dogfight 1v1. I'm like, trust me, there's quite a lot of people.
Flattery.
Quite a lot kill me. Right, lovely. Let's find somebody to host. Let's find somebody to host. Let's find someone. And I will bring this into the end screen.
Oh, the Few has just started streaming.
Doo-doo-doo. Has he? Right,
He has.
hang on. Isn't he one of those Space Bros people?
Might be, yes, he might be.
Same as Snake. Let's have a look. Who we got? The Few, the Crazy Tonk guy,
Same as Noodle, too. You know you have 2 Space Bros on your show right now.
Right, I'm going to give it to this guy because I was flying with him the other day. I'm going to give it to Italian Bomb, guys.
That's another good choice.
Unless there's somebody else I know. I'm just going to check there's no Asylum guys streaming. No, I'm sorry. I'm giving it to Jester, boys. He's Asylum, boys. We've got to give it to Jester. He's part of the stream team. So go check out. If you want a good combat pilot, go check out Jester. I did it wrong. Of course I did it wrong. Awesome dude. Great streamer. Did that work? What is it? Isn't it /raid?
/raid and then the person's name.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Noob streamer here.
It's okay, we'll show you the way.
Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next week. Thank you so much. Don't worry, this is the best bit because this gets all get trimmed out.